How's it going, everyone? I hope you're having a good day. Today we got some pretty crazy stories that I know for a fact that you will enjoy, so sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's just simply get into it. Real quick, just so you know, I have a Twitter account. It's on screen. It's at connorpugs. For the next couple days, I'm only accepting story submissions on my Twitter account as a way to try and help promote it to 1,000 followers for something pretty cool that's happening kind of soon. Anyways, with that being said, let's get into the story. We're going to call the subscriber who submitted this Liam. So Liam was a freshman in college, and Liam and his friend, who we're going to call Adrian, they went to a college that was close to where he lived. So basically what would happen would be that, Liam and Adrian, they would go to school on the weekdays, and then they would just go home on the weekends instead of getting housing, just because housing is is significantly more expensive. And most colleges, you live far enough away that you need to pay for the housing or just makes sense to. But anyways, Liam and Adrian, they went to a college that was simply close enough, and the fact that they had a car was pretty helpful. That they just kind of went back home, and so on the weekends, whenever they wanted to hang out with friends or anything, they could drive people around, they could drive people back to their house, and it actually kind of became a bit of an asset because some people were stuck on campus in the dorms, which the dorms are totally fine. I live in dorms in my college, and they're chill, right? It's totally fine. However, it can be a little better to go back home. You don't have to worry about supervision. You can do what you want. Look, a house is going to be nicer than a dorm 8 out of 10 times, I would say. Sometimes dorms can be pretty nice, or you know how that goes. But anyways, one of these nights, right, Brian was invited over by his friend Adrian because his friend's Adrian dad was out. Adrian's parents were divorced, so his mom lived in another state, and he went to go see her every couple weeks. But he mostly lived with his dad because his dad lived really close to the college that Adrian was going to. And Adrian's dad was going to be out for the weekend, so Adrian decided to invite Brian and a few other friends over to his house. So Brian got over there, he drove in his car, he hopped in, and Brian walked up to the front door, rang the doorbell, and was greeted by Adrian and some other people. Half the people in the party, Brian kind of recognized. The other half he didn't know as well, but they were either friends in the neighborhood of Adrian, or they went to the school that both of them went to. So either way, it was a good atmosphere. Even when you don't totally know people, as long as you know a few people at a function or a gathering, and you're good on your feet, that stuff can be really cool. It can be really nice. One thing that's important to the story, though, is while they were having a conversation, something came up about, Adrian, are you looking for someone? I think specifically what happened was one of the guys that Adrian invited over was like, hey, everyone here, turned to Adrian, turned to Brian, and anyone else who was a guy, I have a friend. Her name is Kate. She lives close to here. She's beautiful. She's nice. And she's looking for someone. If you're looking for someone, just let me know. And this friend kind of turns to Adrian and kind of presses him. Is like, hey, I really think you should, I really think that this girl's perfect for you. You should give her a shot, I think it would be great. And Adrian, instead of saying, no, I just don't want to, because that's totally fine. You can just say no in these situations, but Adrian, instead of just saying no because he didn't want to, Adrian kind of said, no, man, I can't, I already got a thing going, thanks anyways. And Brian, who's friends with Adrian and is pretty close, had no idea that that was a thing. So Brian's like, oh, dude, you never told me. And other people at the party who are also pretty close with Adrian are like, yeah, wait a minute, he didn't tell me either. Well, hold up here. Are we, you're not the only one who doesn't know. And, Adrian's like, all right, guys, you're all my close friends, right? But this one, I got to keep it a secret for a little bit longer. So Brian, the subscriber, is like, dude, you can't be doing that. That's crazy. Look, we're close. What could really be the worst that happens? And Adrian's like, guys, chill out for a second. You're going to know. That's totally fine. Just cool it for a second. Don't, chill out. I'm just not going to tell you. And Brian, the subscriber, was like, all right, whatever. That's fine. Brian thought it was a little weird in his head. Why is my friend Adrian being so weird about this? Why is he being so defensive? What's the worst? Maybe Adrian was insecure about, the person he was dating and he didn't want his friends to know. But the thing is, Brian knew that, Adrian was, a cool guy who just would never do that. He wouldn't really care. He would always be fine with that. That just didn't seem like something in his character. So Brian was really weirded out, but he didn't think anything. He didn't think much of it. So skip forward to the end of the night. Everyone else was leaving. However, Adrian said like, hey, Brian, you're allowed to stay on my couch. For some reason, I don't know exactly why, Brian couldn't, like, he couldn't be in the dorms, but he didn't sleep in the dorms. And for some reason, his house he couldn't sleep in it. I don't know exactly why. Or maybe he just wanted to, like, chill with Adrian. Who knows? But for whatever reason, Brian is sleeping on Adrian's couch. And everyone's left at this point. Adrian went upstairs, and, it's 2 in the morning. So Brian's been asleep for about a couple hours now, and he's awoken by, a sound of footsteps. And at this point, right, it's 2 pairs of footsteps. So Brian's really starting to freak out a little bit. Because at this point, he's thinking, okay, like, I'm really the only one. Like, it's really just Adrian and I in the house. I know Adrian's dad is gone for the weekend. That's the reason why Adrian was able to have so many people over. Normally, Adrian's dad was, like, cool with, like, 1 or 2 people coming over and, like, hanging out in the basement of their house. But Adrian's dad, like, in no way would ever be okay with, like, 8, 9, 10 people or whatever coming over. That was the main reason that he was able to have so many people there that day, because, like, there was no way that would have normally happened. But, sure enough, like, Brian's sitting there, he's on the couch, he's just kind of feeling kind of weird because there's these noises, he doesn't know why, and he's just weirded out by it all. So he kind of gets up, and the noises are of 2 footsteps are walking towards the kitchen. And the thing is, the couch is like or the living room with the couch on it with the TV is where currently Brian is sleeping, and it is right across from where the kitchen is. So Brian can see very clearly, he can see very clearly what's going on. And so Brian sees Adrian and this woman, right? This woman. And he's like, so in Brian's head, he's chilled out, he's relaxed, he's like, oh, okay. So, like, this must be the secret, like, girlfriend that, like, Adrian's with. I don't know why he didn't want to tell me who she was, but whatever, right? So Brian tries to, like, go back to sleep. He kind of closes his eyes. He hears them talking a little bit. What probably happened was either Adrian or, this mysterious girlfriend, who I'll reveal in just a second, probably got thirsty, wanted to get some water. You know how the situations go, right? At this point, right, Brian is kind of just like, you know what, screw it. I want to know who this girlfriend is. I'm going to walk into the kitchen and pretend that I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm just going to pretend that, oh, I didn't know someone was down here. I just want to get some water myself. So Brian gets off the couch and he, like, walks over to the kitchen. He's pretending to do so, like, nonchalantly, not trying to sneak up or anything, because he wants it to seem like he doesn't really know. So Brian walks into the kitchen. He's like, oh, Adrian, didn't see you here. I was just coming to get some water. And that's when Brian turns and looks. And he gets it, because, like, before it was way too dark for Brian to really see who was standing there. But that's when Brian got a good look at who Adrian was with. And it completely blew his mind. Like, he was like, wait a minute, I think I have eye problems. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment teacher down below. That'll be the secret word of the day. I'll try and heart a bunch of comments of people saying teacher. And also, if you want to support the channel, the best way you can do that is just by sitting down and watching more of these videos. If you sit down and watch a bunch of videos in a row, you can do that. I have playlists on my channel for story times and also specific stories. Let me know in the comment section how you're doing that, like how many videos you watched, what you're doing while watching my videos, as I really do appreciate it. And just so you know, for the people who want to listen on the go, all these episodes are on Spotify. In fact, basically every day you will get the videos on Spotify 1 to 2 hours early. So even if you're not a huge Spotify listener, there's an incentive. It's the first link in the description. Please rate 5 stars and follow if you can. Trying to grow it a little bit on Spotify as well, so I would appreciate that. Use code connorpugs for 10% off gamer subs. Submit stories to my Instagram or Twitter. They're both connorpugs, and let's just get right back into it. So anyways, right, Brian is just like looking at this woman, right? He's looking at this woman and he thinks that his eyes are deceiving him. But his eyes are definitely not deceiving him. And after a second, he knows for a fact that, who he's seeing in front of him is exactly who is truly in front of him, right? Like, who he sees in front of him is exactly who he thinks it is. It was his teacher, Miss Davenport. Both Adrian and him went to the same college, and they only had one class together. It was an English class. And they had a teacher who was on the younger side. Miss Davenport was probably like 28, 29. So on the younger side of teachers, because you get professors that are 70, 80 years old. She definitely wasn't like a college student, but she was, one of the younger teachers there. And Brian always thought that, like, Adrian and, Miss Davenport got along really well. But yeah, Brian didn't realize that by get along really well meant get along really well with like huge quotation marks. So Adrian's like, shoot. And Miss Davenport turns to, Adrian. It's like, you didn't tell me that there was another student here. And Adrian's like, dude, I didn't think this was going to be a problem. I thought he was asleep. And Brian's like, just standing there so awkwardly. Like, and he speaks up. He says, hey, like, I didn't see anything. I don't need to see anything. I just came in to get some water. Like, I didn't see it, right? I didn't see anything. So Brian walks over, gets some water, and Adrian and Miss Davenport are just bickering back and forth. She's like, I told you I would never come over if there was another student here or someone who would know. You know how much trouble I can get in if anyone knows. And Adrian's like, dude, I'm sorry. I was wrong. He was asleep. He's my friend. He was just sleeping on the couch. And Miss Davenport's like, you should have told me this. You should have let me know. So Adrian's like, or Brian's like, oh, jeez, like this is so awkward. Gets his water, walks back to the couch and just sits there. He tries to fall asleep right away, but he can't. He's just up for like an hour, basically, at 2 a.m. And just thinking, he's just like, oh my God. Oh my, that's Miss Davenport. That's her college teacher. Like, this isn't, like, are you serious, right? So, yeah, just to make it real clear, like, Brian and Adrian, they're both over 18, so there's nothing, like, really, really bad going on. But it's still against the rules for teachers to do anything like that with students, or, like, just because the power dynamic and stuff like that. Maybe it depends per college, but it is pretty clearly at this college, like, no, you can't be doing that. So the next day, Brian wakes up, and he gets up, and sure enough, Miss Davenport is sitting there with Adrian at like the breakfast table, and most likely Miss Davenport would have left at like 3 a.m. or something, or she would have left before Brian would have woken up. But at this point, I think she was just like, screw it, like the kid already knows. I'm just gonna stay for a breakfast because I'm not feeling like making breakfast. Like, I'm just not doing that. Like, it's totally fine, whatever. So anyways, Brian is sitting at the table, and it is the most awkward situation ever. So Adrian is like fixing up breakfast. He's like, He's like, hey, Miss Davenport, you want like a smiley face pancake? And she's just like glaring at him. Miss Davenport is not happy. And she's understandably not happy because, yeah, another student knowing about this kind of jeopardizes the whole situation. It was already kind of a weird situation. I mean, look, Miss Davenport was like, if she got caught, it would have been pretty tough, right? So anyways, Brian eventually speaks up and says, hey, like, just so you know, it's not like I'm going to tell anyone, right? It's not like I'm going to tell anyone. There's no reason for, like, Miss Davenport, I like you as a teacher. We've had a good time in the class. Like, obviously, Adrian's one of my closest friends. I can now understand why he wasn't telling anyone about who he was with. But just so you know, like, there's no reason for me to like, turn you in. And Miss Davenport's like, I'm really glad you're saying that. You know how much trouble I'd get in. Like, I really don't think we're doing that much wrong. Sure, we have this power dynamic. And, like, yeah, I'm a teacher. He's a student. So that's always a little weird. But it's mostly just a rule at the school that I just can't be doing that. So, Brian's like, okay, whatever. I don't really care. Just, like, I'm not going to bring it up to anybody. I know how that stuff spreads. I just want to let you know that I'm cool. I'm not going to do anything like that, and you're fine. So Adrian, like, turns to Miss Davenport. It's like, it's what I've been saying. It's what I've been saying. He's cool. Miss Davenport's like, well, what if he wasn't? What, you don't always know your friends like that. Like, I'm glad that he's like this, but the next time this happens, Adrian's like, the next time it's not going to happen, Miss Davenport, we're good. Skip ahead to the rest of the school year. They had about a couple months left of class because this happened like February or something. And surprisingly, Brian saw a pretty good increase in his grade. Brian was a pretty solid B student in that class, and then all of a sudden, he left the semester with an A-. He was getting good marks on his grades and stuff, and while it wasn't an explicit bribe, Brian was definitely like, well, I'm going to take it. Like, I mean, there's no proof it's a bribe. Yeah, maybe I get in trouble if someone here's the thing. I'm going to plead ignorance, and I'm going to keep getting my good grades. So we're going to skip over to the second story. Yes, there are two stories that are very similar to each other that basically are the same title. And this time, let's call the subscriber who submitted the story Liam. So Liam was at the mall, and he was with his friends. And Liam had graduated high school by this time. In fact, Liam was getting close to about midway through his college. Like, he was done with his sophomore year. This was summertime. He was back in his hometown. So he was significantly older. I mean, older than he was in high school, obviously. And anyways, Liam was at the mall, and he was just in one of these stores, and he hears someone say, "Liam, is that you?" And he turns around, and it's Miss Davenport. Remember, these are totally different teachers. I just use the name Miss Davenport because this is what I do, right? So Liam's like, "Oh, Miss Davenport, like, oh my God, like I haven't seen you in forever." So for context, Liam was when he was a freshman, he had Miss Davenport for history. She was his history teacher. Liam was always a pretty good student. Like, Miss Davenport and him like got along, but they were never like super close. Like she was just like his teacher, whatever. And, Miss Davenport goes up to him and is like, "Liam, like, it's been so long. Like, you got to tell me, how's college? How's your life going? Like, I want to hear all about it." And Liam was like, "All right, yeah, of course. Like, college has been great. Met some really good guys. Like, I joined this fraternity. Like, life's really good. Like, next summer, like, I think I'm going to get this internship. Like, it's really looking good right now. Like, for this summer, I'm honestly just chilling. I'm seeing my friends. Like, I'm just happy about how things are going." And Miss Davenport's like, "That's so awesome. Like, I gotta go, but do you want to go out for like, I don't know, want to go out for like dinner or something just so we can catch up?" And Liam's like, yeah, sure. That's cool. Like, I'd love to do that, right? And so Miss Davenport's like, "All right, let me just get your number." So Liam gives her number, and that's that. And the thing is, right, Liam doesn't really think of this as like a date because he's like, "Oh, I'm just catching up with my teacher, like whatever, that's totally cool." However, Miss Davenport saw it a little bit differently. So sure enough, right, he gets a text later that day from Miss Davenport being like, "Hey, what days work this week?" And Liam's like, I don't have a ton of plans. I'm kind of open. Like, I mean, how about tonight?" And Miss Davenport's like, "Then it's a date." So Liam kind of looks at that text for a second. It's kind of like, did she mean what she said there? Because, like, dude, like, when you say, it's a date, I've used that phrase before when it's not been a date, right? I don't go on a lot of dates, man. I'm working on it. But, yeah, I've used, like, then it's a date and not meant it's, like, a date. However, like, it's a little different when it's, a guy and a girl, or, if you're into, like, same sex or whatever. If it's, like, someone that you're attracted to, and you're saying it's a date and you're going out, right? That's a little bit of a different connotation. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but there's a little bit more to that. You know what I mean? There's a little bit more to that. And Liam was kind of picking up that maybe there was something more to this. However, he's like, "Oh, whatever. Like, I had her as like a teacher, like whatever, a long time ago." She's like, okay, so when Liam was in high school, this was probably one of the youngest teachers there. Like, she was like in her early 20s. So she was like in her late 20s, maybe early 30s now, but, there was still a big enough, like, I don't know. Liam was just like, there's no way, right? She's just my teacher. So anyways, Liam gets there, he drives over to the restaurant, pulls up, and, he pulls up at the same time as Miss Davenport. And Miss Davenport walks over and she's like, "Oh, Liam, like, I'm so excited, like, oh, like, I'm so happy to see you here." And so anyways, he's like, "Yeah, this place is really great. I love to go here." And she's like, "Oh man, I love this too. Like, me and my ex-boyfriend used to go here all the time." And Liam's like, "Oh, ex-boyfriend?" She's like, "Yeah, we kind of just broke up recently. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it's tough, but that just happens in life, man." And Liam's like, "Yeah, okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, that really sucks. Like, are you seeing anyone else now?" And Liam was low-key kind of just testing the water, and she was like, "No, of course not. Like, yeah, of course not." And that's when Liam was kind of picking up, like, okay, she just said it's a date. She also was just like, "Of course not," because the way that Ms. Davenport said, "Of course not," it kind of implied like, of course it's not a date, because if it was a date, if I was dating someone else, then why would I be here? Anyways, though, Liam ignores it. He's like, "Whatever, I love this restaurant. Ms. Davenport was cool. Like, I don't know, I have nothing else to do tonight. I'm going to ignore these red flags and just keep going with it." And so anyways, they walk inside, they sit down, they order something, and Liam and Miss Davenport have like a great conversation. Liam's having a ton of fun asking like, "Oh, what's happening at the school?" Miss Davenport, since now that, he's no longer a student, is telling him all like the details, telling him all like the secrets or whatever. Like, oh my God, like all kind of like all the gossip that's been going around the office. So they had a principal change his Liam's sophomore year. Liam asked, like, never knew, like, why. He thought it was just like the principal wanted to do different things. Apparently the principal was having an affair, so that was like crazy story. Liam was like, oh my God, this is insane. And towards the end of the night, right, Miss Davenport is like, you know what, Liam, this was such a great night. Would you like to have another one of these? And Liam, at this point, Liam admitted to me over DMs that he was a little dense here, but he still didn't totally realize what this was. Liam was really thinking like, oh, like, shoot, sure, like, whatever, that's cool. Like, I'm cool with that. Like, yeah, this was fun. And in Liam's head, he was just thinking like, oh, whatever. Like, this was a fun night with a friend. It's cool. So, Miss Davenport, is like, all right, I guess I'll see you. And he's like, yeah, I'm free tomorrow night. She's like, sure. Then it's a date. And now she says it like in person. And Liam is starting to realize more and more that when she says it's a date, she means it's a date. Because she kind of gives him a little bit of a wink, kind of gives him a bit of a smile. And in the back of Liam's head, he's like, all right, dude, like, let's maybe plant some seeds here that we're just like chilling as friends. So Liam's like, yeah, okay. He gets in his car, he drives back home. So he's on his bed, he's just like on his couch. He's throwing up like Hulu or Netflix or something. He's just kind of chilling for the rest of the night. And he gets a text from his phone, and it's from Miss Davenport. And she's like, hey, like, I know that, our date's tomorrow night, but I just want to let you know that, like, here's my address. And Miss Davenport drops her address. And Liam's like, okay, cool. Thanks for the information. And that's when Miss Davenport says, just so you know, like, I'm around all night if you want to come over. And that's when Liam's like, oh, no, dude. Because here's the thing. You can kind of play off the other stuff. But the other stuff, like the whole it's a date, of course I don't have a boyfriend, the kind of flirtatiousness, asking for a second kind of meetup like that. Like, sure, maybe one meetup with like an old teacher or old friend or whatever. You're not sussed out by that. But definitely when they ask for a second one, it's a little bit like, okay, like, didn't we just catch up? And then when she says like, here's my address, slide if you want to. You already know that something's going on, right? You already know that something's up. So at this point, Liam is starting to realize, what's going on. And Liam also admits the next thing he does isn't like not that it's not mature, but it's also just like he admits that it's not like the best thing to do. So what Liam does is, he's like, he ignores that text. And, he doesn't have his red receipts on, but he probably should have. And then the next morning he wakes up, he sends a text being like, I'm so sorry, like, I totally forgot. I'm going out for a couple days with my parents because they're back and they're happy that, I'm back and they want to see me. Like, let's meet up another time when I'm back. And so Ms. Davenport's like, that's totally fine. Just let me know, with a winky face. And Liam's like, oh, God, this is weird, man. Because the thing is, right, maybe in any other occasion, Liam would have been, like, fine with going with this because, Liam doesn't mind like an older woman. He's got a little bit of young gravy in him, but if you get that reference, you get that reference. But at this point, Liam's like, nah, I can't shake the fact that she was my teacher. Like, that's way too weird. And was what this teacher was doing weird? Yeah, I think so. If like her and Liam were like really close, this would have been much more messed up. But the thing is, Liam and this teacher were never that close. She just like had him for like a couple semesters. They never really talked or anything. In fact, Liam kind of thinks that she threw him out of her class at one point. But at the end of the day, Liam was still totally weirded out by it. He's like, nah, I can't, man. Like, I just can't. So, after a couple days, Miss Davenport sends him a text. And Liam's just chilling at his house, and he gets his text when he's, like, supposedly on vacation saying, when are you going to be back? And Liam trying to like be, he's not trying to be like he's not trying to be mean about it, but he's also not trying to be, he can't be upfront. He feels too weird. So instead he's like, you know what, I'm sorry to ghost, but I'm probably just going to have to ghost her. And sure enough, after Miss Davenport sent that text, Liam just ignored the text. And a couple days later, she sent a question mark. And after Liam ignored the question mark, I think Miss Davenport kind of figured out what was going on. She stopped texting him, and that was the last text he ever received from her. But Unfortunately, Liam was like a year later, was in the grocery store and saw her in one of the aisles, and they made really, really awkward eye contact and just went two separate ways. Like they just tried to avoid each other, and thankfully they didn't like meet up in the checkout aisle and they're like right behind each other or something. But yeah, so that was the second awkward story. If you want to support the channel, watch another video, and bye. How's it going, everyone? Hope you're having a great day today, because today we have probably one of the most insane stories about a Minecraft kid to date. I mean, you do not want to miss this, so sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's call today's subscriber who submitted this story, let's call him Dave. So anyways, right, Dave was in the 3rd grade, and in the 3rd grade, like at this time, Minecraft was huge. I mean, Minecraft was really big now, but it was like really, really big back in like 2013, 2014. Dave is quite older, but this is a story from back in his childhood. So anyways, right, one thing that was starting to get pretty big, 2015, 2016, I don't totally know exactly when the story happens, was something called, Minecraft PvP, where basically people would fight each other in Minecraft. And there was this kid in Dave's class who we're going to call Ben, because of course we're going to call him Ben. So anyways, right, Dave and Ben, they weren't necessarily best friends, but they started to get to know each other because they both were really into the whole Minecraft player versus player battles. And so they would start to like play a little bit, with each other after school. They would go on Minecraft servers and they would fight each other, and it was actually quite fun. So Dave and Ben started to become friends in class. And the thing is, though, Dave was not friends with Ben after what is about to happen, which is absolutely crazy, but you'll have to wait for that one, right? So anyways, right, Dave and Ben, they're talking at recess. So there's a swing set at this school's recess, at the school's playground. So Dave and Ben, they're both on the swings, and, Ben is like, man, I don't know, I really don't like Miss Davenport. So Miss Davenport's going to be the name of their teacher for their math class. And Dave's like, dude, I know, she's the worst. And Ben's like, bro, like, I wish I could just, like, spend my entire day getting better at Minecraft PvP, like, learning how to, like, be better, but instead I have to spend all this time learning my times tables, bro. I hate those. Little side note, I hated my times tables, because I would be, like, timed to be, like, you have to do all these in 1 minute. I'm terrible under pressure. I did not like those. But anyways, Dave and Ben, they were talking about how they really didn't like, the math they had to do in their class, and how they thought that their teacher was, like, extra mean, even though Dave tells me in retrospect the teacher was actually super normal. Like, she was, like, honestly just trying to teach them the fundamentals of math that they would need for, like, the next 7 years of schooling. But at that time, Dave and Ben, the Minecraft kid, they just didn't get that. So Dave and Ben decided that, they were going to pull a prank on their teacher to somehow get more time to play Minecraft. So what they were going to do is they were going to find a way to bring their, like, computers into class and to play Minecraft, like, during class, so that they can, because, like, what they were thinking is Dave and Ben, the Minecraft kid, were like, you know what? I hate math. When am I actually going to use it? But you know what I'm using every day? My Minecraft player versus player battle skills. Oh yeah, baby. So yeah, basically they were thinking to themselves, like, we gotta practice in class because we're wasting all of our time doing math. This is ridiculous. So anyways, they conjure up a plan, and the whole plan is that they will, like, put their backpacks on their desk, because they actually had pretty big desks, and they would also sit all the way in the back of class, and their backpacks would be, like, on the desk enough so that it would be kind of blocking their computers. Then they'd whip out their computers, and, they would have their mouses or whatever, and then they would play Minecraft in class, and they just, like, attach to the school Wi-Fi. This was so far back then that, like, the school Wi-Fi, like, people, like, the administrators in the school didn't even know about, like, how to do, like, Wi-Fi blocking. You know how, like, when you go to school Wi-Fi, you can't look up certain sites or use certain things? This was back in the day when, like, they didn't even know about this. They're just like, oh, internet connection, cool. Anyone can use it. We don't really care. I don't know if every school was like this, but at least Dave and Ben's school was like this. So anyways, the next day rolls around, and they bring their computers into school. And on the way out, Dave's mom was like, oh, honey, why do you have your computer with you? And, Dave was like, I need to think quick on the spot. He's like, we need it for class. And Dave's mom's like, oh, cool. So anyways, Dave goes into school. He meets up with Ben before class. He's like, bro, are you ready? And Ben's like, yeah, dude, I got my PC. I'm ready for this. So they go into class and they both sit in the back of the class. And the teacher's like, all right, class, today we'll be learning about long division. By the way, screw long division. That is the worst thing ever. But anyways, right, so Dave and Ben, they're sitting in the back of class. They pull out their backpacks and they put them on their desk. And the teacher kind of looks over and doesn't think anything of it. She's like, weird. But if you want to have less desk space, then be my guest, bro. Like, that's not on me, that's on you, so whatever. And then Dave and Ben, they pull out their computers and then they pull out their mice and they barely have enough room to fit everything on there. But barely is still it. They still have enough room, even if it's barely enough room. So anyways, right, they get their laptops out, they connect to the Wi-Fi. They're like, all right, this is perfect. So they go on whatever player versus player Minecraft server where they can fight each other and other people. I don't know if it was Hypixel back in the day. I don't know if it was like a Bad Lion or whatever. I don't even know. I don't know the history that well. But they go on their server, right? And the thing about like Minecraft PvP, if you don't know, when you fight someone in Minecraft, you normally have like a sword. Normally, you can have like bow, rod, lava bucket. You can have a lot of stuff. But normally it's sword fighting, and for sword fighting, you need to click. And neither of these kids had auto clickers or anything like this. So they wanted to swing their sword, they needed to click. And the thing is, right, they didn't have some kind of like ghost mouse that makes no sounds when you click it, which I don't know even if that's a thing, because like, why would you want that? Except for this very specific situation, which doesn't come up often. Well, actually, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not typically in class pretending to be like hiding behind like a backpack, secretly playing Minecraft, ignoring my math schools or my like math class or whatever. That doesn't normally happen. But anyways, right? So the thing is, for them to play, they need to be clicking. And remember, this class isn't super loud and rowdy, and no one else is on their computers and no one else is clicking a mouse. So they don't even really think of this. They're just like, Dave and Ben are just so excited to the fact that they're able to play Minecraft during their math class that they legitimately just they get on the server and they go, actually, I have a mouse with me right now. They just start like going crazy and they're clicking away and they're fighting people and they're doing pretty well, right? So Dave is super focused right now. He's playing this kid who's actually pretty good, and they're really close. They're basically have the same number of hits, and he hears Ben whisper, "Dave, Dave, Dave, Dave," and Dave's like, "Ben, stop! I'm in the middle of a fight." And that's when the teacher says. Then he hears his name again, but he hears Dave. And sure enough, it is Miss Davenport. And he looks up and he immediately closes his computer. At this point, like, Ben is like, oh my God. And Dave is like, hi, Miss Davenport. How's it going, Miss Davenport? How's it going there? Haha, what's good? Miss Davenport. And sure enough, like, Miss Davenport's like, you two, you're coming with me. And they pack their bags and they walk up to the principal's office and they get in trouble because you're not supposed to be doing that in class. And and the principal, ends up calling their parents. When Dave gets back, Dave's mom's like, you were playing Minecraft. You were playing like video games. I don't know if she knew if it was Minecraft exactly. So you were playing video games in class. You're supposed to be paying attention. Like, this is foundational material for the rest of your academic career. Like, you're going to be in college and college math class, and you're going to be thinking back, why didn't I pay attention to that long division? Bro, I've never done long division, like, since fourth grade, bro. Just a little tip. I mean, learn it because you need to pass, but I've never used that stuff again. Oh, my God. Anyways, though, Dave is not happy. And, Ben is also not happy. So the next day, while they did get in trouble, they still had their recess privileges. So they went out back to the swing set. And Ben was like, dude, Miss Davenport is the worst. And Dave's like, bro, 100%. She is the worst. Even though, like, in retrospect, Dave tells me that Miss Davenport was literally just doing her job and that Dave back then and Ben, his friend, were just a bunch of dumb kids. But anyways, at the time, Dave and Ben were like, bro, she is the worst. We need to actually get back at her for what she did to us. And Dave's like, bro, what were you thinking? And Ben's like, you know what? Last night, I was just so angry that I was sitting there and I was just trying to come up with something. I was trying to come up with an epic prank that would truly get her. So Dave and Ben end up doing something which you guys will hear in just a little bit. That is something that I have to do a little bit of a disclaimer. Do not do this. I have personally never done it, and I actually don't know anyone who's done this. And it's also pretty illegal, and it's a jerk move, and you should never do something like this. That's just my disclaimer coming from me, so I can freely tell the rest of the story. So anyways, on the swing set, Dave and Ben, since they live close to each other and they're allowed to kind of roam around, Ben's like, dude, I figured out exactly where Miss Davenport lives last night. And Dave's like, bro, what? And Ben's like, dude, Miss Davenport, she lives really close to us. Like, she lives like 5 minutes away. And Dave's like, bro, okay, what do you want me to do with this information? And Ben's like, dude, my mom just bought eggs. And she probably, so much stuff goes in her fridge, she won't notice if she loses some eggs, right? And Ben's like, or Dave's like, bro, Ben, I don't understand what you're trying to say. And that's when Ben says, you and me, tonight, we're going to go egg her house for what she did to us. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment door down below. That's for the OGs of this channel. If you don't get it, that's all good. But if you've been around for a while, that probably brought you back. But anyways, if you made it this far into the video, comment door down below, D-O-O-R, or the thing that, like, you know, you enter a house with or a building with. I just want to see how many people make this far into the video. And also, if you want to support the channel, literally binge watch these videos, like sit down and watch a bunch of story videos in a row. It really helps me out more than you can ever imagine. And let me know in the comment section what you are doing while binge watching these videos. Are you playing video games? Are you doing some artwork? Are you going to sleep? Whatever you're doing, let me know. I'll heart it. And I'll even sometimes throw up your comments on screen. So here are some people. Here's a little bit of a shout out to these people. If you want a bit of a shout out in a future video, just comment how you're supporting the channel. And yeah, let's get back to it. So anyways, right, at this point, Dave and Ben, you know, they kind of commit to, you know, doing the thing that they're going to do. And after school, you know, they basically have a plan to tell their parents that they're going on a nighttime walk at like 8, and then they're going to meet up at a certain place. So anyways, it's like 7:55, and Dave's starting to get butterflies in his stomach. Like, this is really crazy. He's starting to feel really, like, weird about this, but he's like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going through with it. So it's 8 o'clock. He walks out there, and he meets up with his friend Ben, and sure enough, Ben has 4 eggs in his hand. So they're not going to, like, you know, they're not going to load up a Gatling gun with 1,000 eggs and completely, like, I don't know, they're not going to turn her house into an omelet or anything like that, but they're still going to egg the house, which, once again, disclaimer, do not ever do. It's not even, like, cool or anything like that. You're an idiot if you do it. Anyways, because you will get in trouble, dumbass. But anyways, Dave and Ben, they start walking over, and they're hiding the eggs, right? They walk over to where Miss Davenport's house is, and they sneak around over, and then they hide in the bushes, right? And Dave turns to Ben. He's like, dude, are you sure about this? And Ben's like, don't forget what she did to us. And with that, Dave gets a little angry. He takes one of the eggs. He's like, on 3. And then Ben takes one of his eggs. He's like, all right. And Dave's like, 3, 2, 1. And then 2 eggs splat. And then he's like, all right, we got to fire this one quickly. They take both of them again. And sure enough, they got 4 eggs right across the side of the house, and this time they need to get out of there. So they don't run away, but they kind of like power walk away, and they kind of sneak out of there, and they watch, and they hear the door open, but by that time they are out of sight. So Dave and Ben quickly like power walk away, and they go out of sight, out of distance. They're like, oh my God. Oh my God, that was crazy. They're like, we totally got her. And Dave is like, we totally got her. And Ben's like, I don't know. Dave's like, dude, we totally got her. Like, how could you want to get her more? And once again, Ben's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if that was enough. And Dave's like, well, that was enough for me. So sure enough, they go back home, they go to bed. You know, the next day they wake up and, they go to school and they're sitting and, once again, they go back to their swing set. And Dave is like, man, I don't know. I just don't feel satisfied with what happened. I feel like she deserves more. And at this point, Dave's like, bro, Ben, what do you mean? We got our house. We got her good. And Ben's just like, man, I don't know, Dave. Like, I just don't feel like we actually did get her good. I feel like there's still more that can be done. The wrong has not been righted. And Dave's like, bro, chill out. The wrong has definitely been righted, which, by the way, 2 wrongs do not equal a right, bro, but anyways, right? So sure enough, they go back to class, and they're sitting there, and, Miss Davenport calls on Ben. Ben doesn't know the answer, and it doesn't embarrass him in front of the whole class, but bro, when you get called on and you very clearly are not trying to have your hand raised because you're not trying to get called on, and the teacher calls on you in class, and everyone looks, and you turn around, and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, that's embarrassing. But apparently that was just that was the last straw for Ben. And as their school is out, or not school's out, but school's out for the day. They're waiting in line to be picked up by their parents. And Ben walks up to Dave and is like, bro, I'm getting revenge on Miss Davenport for embarrassing me today. And, Dave's like, bro, what are you talking about? And Ben's like, dude, she's been crazy recently. And what we did was just it was a little drop in the bucket. It really means nothing. But I'm going to get her tomorrow. And I'm going to use my Minecraft skills to get her back. I'm going to put my training to good use. And Dave looked at him and had literally no idea what he was going to do. So he's like, okay, man, cool. So anyways, the next day rolls around. And once again, before class, they're at recess and they're sitting on the swings. Dave and Ben always sit on the swings together. No one else really uses the swings, so they're kind of it's the place they always go to. And Dave is just talking, and Ben's like, bro, you're going to want to be in class today. And Dave's like, dude, of course I'm going to be in class. What would I do if I skipped it? Sit in the bathroom, dude? What? Because remember, they didn't really have phones then. I mean, phones were a thing, but since they were kids, they didn't really have it. But anyways, Ben goes on, bro, you're going to want to be there. And Dave's like, okay, do you want to tell me? And Ben's like, nope, it's going to be a surprise. But just know that Miss Davenport is not going to want to mess with me or anyone else, including you, after this. And Dave's like, okay, man, cool. So they get to class. And, Dave sits next to Ben. And he looks over. And something's weird with Ben's bag. And that's when Dave realizes, those fake plushy Minecraft diamond swords that you can buy online, the little toy things? Yeah, one of those, the handle of that was sticking out of his backpack. And Dave looks at Ben and is whispering yo, dude, why is there a diamond sword in your backpack? And Ben's like, bro, you're gonna see, dude. And Dave's like, okay. What? And Dave's like, bro, just wait. It's gonna be crazy. And Dave's like, all right, man, I'll trust you on this one. So sure enough, right, Ben is kind of just waiting to be called on. And sure enough, Miss Davenport's like, all right, Ben, can you answer this? Because she was going around just asking people. And Ben's like, Miss Davenport, I did not raise my hand. And Miss Davenport's like, well, sometimes I call on people. It's just part of the class. And Ben is stands up. He's like, that is the last time that you disrespect me, ma'am. And he reaches into his backpack and whips out his diamond sword. And Dave is like, oh my God, this guy's gone off the rocker. And he starts swinging it around and Miss Davenport's like, Ben, what is that? Why do you have a little fake plastic sword or whatever? And Ben is like, you don't understand. He starts walking towards her, swinging it. Everyone in the class is dead silent. They're like, bro, this kid's gone insane. Oh my God. But anyways, right, so Ben is walking towards him with the sword. Miss Davenport's like, dude, or she doesn't. Okay, Miss Davenport, the teacher, the 40-year-old math teacher, does not say dude, but she's like, Ben, put that down immediately, and you're coming with me to the principal's office. And Ben's like, no, you disrespected me and my brethren for too long. And he goes up and he's like, any last words? And, Miss Davenport's like, Ben, put that thing down immediately. You and I are going to the principal's office. Cut off mid-sentence. Why was she cut off mid-sentence? Well, because at that point, Ben had enough and he swung with the diamond sword. However, he got too close to her. So when he swung with the diamond sword, he held the diamond sword in his fist so tightly that when he swung, he didn't hit her only with the diamond sword. He accidentally hit her with his fist that was clutching onto the diamond sword so tightly that he basically just square punched her in the face. And at this point, it was such, like, I know he's just a little kid, but just like the shock and the momentum and just somehow he got it just right that he went, whoopah! And Miss Davenport stood there for like a second and then just collapsed on the floor. And everyone, their mouths were just gaping open. They were just like, oh, what? What? Huh? Oh, what is going on? What is going on? What? And so, okay, so sure enough, one girl just runs out of the room immediately. And Ben is kind of just standing there, just kind of shocked with what happened. Because, bro, you're not expecting to knock out the teacher with your diamond sword. I don't care how delusional you are. Like, you were just not expecting that to happen. And, you know, Ben's just standing there. He's like, oh, my God. 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 What'd I do? What'd I do? Everyone in the class is like, oh, my God. Is she dead? Oh, my God. She was not dead. She's just knocked out. But within, like, 5 minutes, the girl that ran out actually ran out just to go get, like, help from, like, security or whatever. And sure enough, security walks in, and they look at what's happening. They see the kid with the diamond sword, and the teacher slumped over, and the girl points to him and says, that's the kid. Security goes up, grabs Ben, is like, you're coming with us. And the other security officer goes and checks, like, Ms. Davenport's pulse to make sure that she wasn't, like, actually, you know, destroyed by that. And sure enough, she was fine, but, like, she was knocked out. They call an ambulance. Ambulance comes over. Miss Davenport starts coming back too. You know, she's given water, electrolytes, whatever. And Dave is just sitting there like, oh my God. So Ben actually gets up getting expelled from the school. He's not suspended. He's not in trouble. He's expelled from the school. They have like a zero tolerance for anything like that. However, you know, there was some questioning to Ben about like the recent like egging to her house because she did report it to the school. And thankful to Ben did not say anything. Ben kept his mouth shut, said he knew nothing of it, that was ridiculous, and they didn't look any further into it. And Ben and Dave never really spoke that much afterwards because Dave's mom like, I don't want you hanging out with Ben. He's a bad influence and all that kind of stuff. And to this day, Dave and Ben have not seen each other since. And Dave does not know where Ben is. Ben might be at some other school. Dave thinks that like the parents moved because he actually walked over to see like if Ben was at his house because he wanted to like to see how he was doing. And it was like a totally different family in that house when he went over. It was kind of weird, but whatever, right? And yeah, to this day, Dave has no idea what's happening, and it was probably the craziest story of his life. Today, I got a story for you guys that I just know that you'll enjoy, because it is a story of a bully who's been bullying kids for the longest time, and finally, he messes up and bullies a kid in front of a very savage teacher that has a pretty great response and absolutely destroys him. I know you'll enjoy it. Subscribe if you're new. And let's call today's subscriber who submitted this story, let's call him Jake. So anyways, there was a kid in Jake's grade called Ben, and he was known as Ben the Bully. His name wasn't actually Ben, but I just thought of that off the top of my head, and Ben the Bully sounded so smooth off the tongue, I had to go with it. So anyways, right, Ben the Bully had been the bully since kindergarten. They went to a school where it went kindergarten through 8th grade, which is, it was like you're there for the long haul, and they were currently in 7th grade. And Ben had been Ben the Bully since kindergarten. Obviously, he progressively got worse and worse since kindergarten, but he started all the way back, you know, during the toddler era, man. He was a menace for a very long time. So anyways, this all starts on one day when Jake is just walking through the hallway, right? He's got his backpack on, he's walking to his next class, and Ben bumps into him. He's like, watch where you're going, man. And the thing was that Jake was actually actively trying to avoid Ben, but Ben, as if he was some tracking Mohawk missile, kind of aimed into him and slammed into him. It was pretty obvious that it wasn't an accidental bump, but it was a very clear two people going into each other and bumping into each other. So Jake was like, sorry. Like, he didn't say it with a lot of, I don't know. He obviously didn't say it meaningfully because he didn't bump into Ben. Ben just slammed into him and said, watch where you're going. Very typical bully behavior, right? Because it wasn't like Jake and Ben were boys. They hated each other. Or at least Jake hated Ben. I don't know. Maybe Ben thought that all the people he bullied were secretly his best friends. But let me just give you a little spoiler. That was not the case. But anyways, you know, Ben goes on to say, huh? Say it with some respect. And Jake was like, I'm sorry. Like, I'll try not to bump into you next time. And Ben's like, yeah, man, that's what I thought. Sure enough, Jake goes over to lunch because he was walking from his class to lunch, and he sits down with his friend. He's like, man, that Ben kid, like, he's been such a pee-pee. He said other words, but YouTube, you know how it is, guys. Since kindergarten, man, he has sucked for the longest time, and he just doesn't get it. We all hate him. He sucks. We don't like him. Like, someone's got to stop him at some point. And the other kids at, Jake's lunch table are like, well, okay, dude, we're halfway through 7th grade now. We got another year, and then we graduate. We go to high school. He's in a if he's in the same high school as us, then, maybe he'll grow out of it. Basically, they were saying that, yeah, man, we're not gonna do anything about it. And Jake started to realize that, yeah, there wasn't a lot they could have done about it because the teachers were well aware, and they were like, oh, Ben, stop it. Stop it, Ben. Obviously doing nothing, right? Complete disaster. And sure enough, Jake is walking to his class when he sees Ben picking on the nerdy kid. Okay, look, here's the thing. The nerdy kids, they make the money out of school, ladies, so don't be ignoring them, bro. I mean, those nerdy kids are going to be walking out with those six-figure tech jobs out of college, so all I'm saying is maybe you should be paying them a little more attention. But anyways, right, the nerdy kid, he wore glasses. If you wear glasses, you aren't a nerd. In fact, you look kind of smart if you have the right pair of glasses. For today's sponsor, I'm kidding. No one wants to sponsor my channel for some reason. I don't know. And all the sponsor links are obvious scams. I'm not going to click on it. I'm not an idiot. Anyways, so the nerdy kid, right, who's going to make bread out of college, but he is the nerdy kid, and he had glasses. He fits the stereotype. I don't know how else to say it. Ben went up to him and bumped into him as well. And he's like, watch where you're going. And Jake is watching this go down. And sure enough, right, Ben, is looking at the nerdy kid and says, hey, for disrespecting me, it's an eye for an eye. And the nerdy kid's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm sorry I bumped into you. And Ben reaches out to the nerdy kid, grabs his glasses, and slams them on the ground. Thankfully, the nerdy kid didn't go completely blind without glasses, but obviously it was a major inconvenience. And he was like, dude, why would you do that? And Ben's like, you just gotta be more respectful next time, man. And he kind of bumps off to the next class. So Jake and Ben, the bully, had a class together. Their class was the last class of the day. And Ben was a big butt the entire time in that class, always. So Jake was just like, he was just like, man, this guy really sucks. Jake always knew that Ben was kind of a terrible person, but it really was solidified in his mind today that this guy sucks, man. He's the worst. I don't know how else to say it. It just is what it is. So while Ben was kind of a jerk in general and also in this class, he never really did it blatantly. He was always somewhat concealed with his bullying while in the presence of a teacher. Because one thing that was kind of weird was that, or not weird, but an interesting kind of a character study, was that Ben the bully, in a lot of cases, the people who are the bullies in the school, the only thing they do is like be jerks to other people, and they don't really, focus on their grades. But this guy was both a bully and also a try-hard. And by the way, being a try-hard is good. Props to you if you were try-hard, because I've try-harded in the past. I've also not try-harded, and being a try-hard's good. You'll do well. Good things will happen, mostly. And unless you're annoying about it, just be cool and also try-hard. Anyways, the bully also sweated for his grades. He really went in, and he tried to get straight A's and everything. I think he kind of had I need to prove I'm better than everyone complex, and also that was exuberated through his excessive, grade, trying to get the perfect grades, and also bullying people. The first thing's totally fine. If you want to, get good grades to feel better than everyone else, I don't care. Get those grades, whatever. But you can't be bullying people, right? So anyways, all you need to know that Ben the bully really cares about his grades. So that's probably why he was a little bit less blatant, right? He's a little less blatant when he was in class. But one day, on this day specifically, he slipped up. So there's a kid who transferred into their school about a week ago, which was very weird because it's about midway through the semester, and normally new people come in the beginning of the year. But, you know, life happens, and for some reason, this kid had to come in midway through. And it's very difficult to make friends midway through if you come into an already established grade. It can be done, and I've seen it done, but it's definitely more difficult, and, you know, my heart goes out to anyone who has to deal with that, or you're constantly moving. Making friends is hard, man. I mean, I spent my freshman year in high school completely struggling, which gave me the life lessons that I need to try if I want to have friends. They will not just immediately come to me. And it's a good thing for me to learn. But anyways, there was a new kid, and he wasn't doing so well in the friend department. So Jake, who was just feeling really good that day. Oh, Ben the bully, was feeling really good that day. He bullied Jake. He bullied the nerdy kid. He was on a win streak, man. He just wanted to top it off. He just wanted a little bit more that day. And in class, he was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to bully this kid. So Ben the bully, Jake is in this class, remember, it's the last class of the day, looks as Ben the bully walks over to the new kid who just came in a week ago, and it's like, hey, buddy, looks like you're struggling in the friend department. That sucks. I don't know. Maybe if you were just, I don't know, more likable, I don't know, you would have more friends or something. This little pro tip from the pros. This is a really snarky comment, something along those lines. But Ben the bully, made a mistake here because the teacher overheard this. The teacher turned around and looked at Ben and said, Ben, knock it off. Don't be a jerk. And Ben was kind of taken aback by this, but he must have been on some power high. He must have been like some kind of like neurons unlocked in his brain when he bullied the third person in one day. The power gauntlet is on his fist because he bullied 3 people. He got all 3 infinity stones. I don't know. For some reason, he was on something, is what I'm trying to say. Because he looks at the teacher and responds very calmly after being a little shocked that the teacher talked back to him and said, or what? And the teacher said, or I'll send you to the principal's office. In fact, I will send you to the principal's office, and that's where you'll be going. And everyone kind of turns their head because Ben, while being a notorious bully and a pretty blatant jerk, never really broke the rules in class, and in fact, rarely ever made it to the principal's office. It only happened earlier in the year, or not earlier in the year, but when he was like 3rd grade, 4th grade, but then he learned how to game the system. He learned how to go right up to the edge of being a bully, but not really getting in trouble. And that's a lot. In all these cases I told you about, he would always have a way to weasel his way out of it, but not this time. So Ben, for the first time ever, has been cornered, and he decides to act defensively. And once again, Ben says, well, what are you going to do? Drag me there? Because I'm not going to walk to the principal's office. So the teacher is kind of taken aback by this as well. It's like Ben and the teacher have been continuously startling each other with their responses. So the teacher thinks for a second. And the teacher knows that Ben really does care about his grades because Ben sweats very hard in that class. He's a try-hard in the class, which is good, remember. Try-hard has a negative connotation. I think it's a good thing, personally. And the teacher goes up to Ben the bully. And he's like, well, you know this class has a very large aspect of participation within the grade. If you don't go to the principal's office, I will fail you in the participation. And Ben the bully looks at him, and this time he's scared. He's like, you can't do that, man. You can't do that. And the teacher's like, why? You're distracting everyone else right now. You're taking away from their participation. You don't think that there are negative effects on your participation grade? You think it's 100% how much you talk? Real quick comment, bully down below, as that is the secret word of the day. I just like to see how many people make it this far. And also, if you want to support the channel, make sure to watch a bunch of videos after this one. If you binge watch a bunch of videos now or later, please let me know, as it really does support the channel. Anyways, at this point, remember, Ben and the teacher have had this little back and forth. Ben got caught bullying the new kid. The teacher told him to knock it off, and that he will be sent to the principal's office, and that Ben refused to walk over there. So now the teacher, knowing that Ben really cares about his grades, is threatening to give him an F in participation, which was like 15 to 30%. It was like a large portion of the grade, large enough that a fail on that would really suffer the overall grade. So Ben at this point is like, you can't do that. I participate all the time. And the teacher responds, Well, you're inflicting negative participation right now as you're taking away from the classroom experience. Don't think participation only goes one direction. I can take it away too. And also, who writes your grades? I do. Go to the principal's office or you'll receive an F in participation. At this point, right, the teacher thinks he has kind of like a checkmate here, and basically forcing him to go to the principal's office or receive an F, which he knows that he does not want to receive. Ben, however, has never been checkmated. He's always been the master. He's always been the chess grandmaster. Everyone else was playing checkers while he was playing chess. And for once, he was dethroned, and he just couldn't take it. I think something really snapped in him because he has never had his throne challenged ever before. And this is when Ben stands up, puffs out his chest, and walks over to the teacher and says, I'm going to choose option C, neither. You're going to give me an A in participation as I participate, and I'm not going to go to the principal's office for making fun of a dweeb. And he points to, like, the new kid. First of all, who says dweeb anymore, bro? That was, like, what you called a nerd in the 1980s, bro. Get the archaeologist, dude. I think we found a fossil. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm playing. But anyways, right. He goes up to the teacher, and he's got his chest pumped out. And the teacher is not, like, threatened or anything. He's like, is that a threat? And Ben says, I don't know. Maybe. All I know is I'm getting an A, and I'm not going to the principal's. And the teacher said, all right, well, yeah, I'll give you an option C. Do you choose option C? And Ben, thinking, well, yeah, it's neither, he says, yeah, I choose option C. And the teacher says, great. All right, go to the principal's office, and you're getting an F on participation. And Ben, when he heard this, just couldn't hold back anymore. He's like, I'm going to give you a count to 3 to turn that back, to change it, to give me an option D. And everyone's like, lol, you want that D, bro? Ha. He's like, shut up. I'm going to give you a count to 3. 3. Teacher's just looking at him. 2. Teacher's just looking at him, a little smirk. 1. And Ben said, don't think I didn't warn you. And he raises his fist. He's about to punch the teacher, everyone thinks. He goes in and he swings, but the teacher simply just steps to the side. Ben runs straight into the back of the wall, head and fist collides with, like, the whiteboard. The whiteboard actually cracks a little bit because Ben's a pretty big guy who just slams into it, and he literally collapses to the floor. And the teacher, the most baller move of all time, the teacher stands above him and looks down and is like, you can't even land a punch, dude. Sad. And at this point, right, Ben's entire world crumbled before him because his reputation of being the big scary bully man completely faded away. So sure enough, right, the teacher actually does call up the security, tells them what happens. They come down and they take Ben away to go to the principal's office. And so Jake is just sitting there in class, witnessing the whole thing go down, and is just thinking to himself, the reign of Ben is over. The reign of terror is finally done. And sure enough, the aftermath, the teacher did not give him an F for participation, but he made him read out a long apology to both the teacher, the class, and the kid he bullied specifically in front of everybody. He also got a week of detention for trying to fight the teacher, right? Which is pretty light compared to some other stories I've received. And from that point on, Ben was still a jerk, but he wasn't a blatant bully like he was before because he was scared because the school told him that he was on thin ice and any other reports that were similar were going to get him in much, much more severe trouble than he already was. Today we get a story of a Minecraft kid that gets angry at his teacher, so decides that, his revenge will be farting in the teacher's face and then going completely insane. This is probably one of the weirdest stories I have ever received, so sit back, relax, subscribe if you like stories, and let's call today's subscriber Noah. So this all happens one day when Noah is just chilling in his class, and there's another guy in his class, and we're going to call this guy the Minecraft kid because he's obsessed with Minecraft. He's always wearing the creeper hoodie. You already know how it goes. And obviously, right, if you like Minecraft, this video is not against you because, bro, I love Minecraft. Look at the background gameplay. But anyways, right, so Noah was just chilling in class. And he looks to, his left, and directly, to the next of him, directly adjacent to him, is the Minecraft kid. And him and the Minecraft kid weren't like best friends or anything, but he had nothing necessarily against the Minecraft kid. And the teacher was beginning the lecture on whatever it was, and he sees the Minecraft kid, he had his computer out because everyone had their computers out. It was like 6th grade, and that was like the first time that they were given school computers or whatever, or Chromebooks, or I don't even know. He had his computer out though. And you could have your school given Chromebook or school issued Chromebook, or you could bring your own computer. So the Minecraft kid, brought his gaming computer. And the difference with today and any other day is Noah looked over and saw the Minecraft kid reach into his backpack, pull out a mouse pad and a gaming mouse. One of those gaming mice that all light up and glow and all that stuff. Yeah, he whipped out one of those. And at first Noah's like, oh, he just wants to use a mouse instead of the trackpad. That's totally understandable. Trackpad sucks. I 100% agree. And anyways, right, Noah doesn't even really pay that much attention. And that is until he hears the Minecraft soundtrack. Super, super, super loud. Minecraft soundtrack is beautiful. I've actually gone to sleep to it a couple of times on Spotify. But that's beyond the point, right? Anyways, right, so Noah is he realizes that the Minecraft kid next to him is not only not really caring that, he has his entire gaming setup out, he also just doesn't care that Minecraft music is blasting away. And sure enough, right, you hear the Minecraft soundtrack, you hear the walking footsteps in Minecraft, you hear him beating up some chicken and the chicken making squeaking noises or whatever. And so Noah's just oh my God, this kid's gonna get in a ton of trouble. But sure enough, right, the music was just so loud that the teacher turns around and looks at the Minecraft kid and is like, Minecraft kid, turn down that music. You can't be playing music in class. So the teacher didn't realize that this was just music to a video game. The teacher just thought that the Minecraft kid was playing music in class, which, sometimes kids have tried to listen to music, but normally they'd use headphones or whatever. And the teacher says, hey, no listening to music in class, you gotta be paying attention. So the teacher kind of doesn't think anything more of it and goes back to their work. And so the Minecraft kid, sure enough, just turns off the volume, but keeps on playing Minecraft. And it's super obvious because he's whipping his mouse around and clicking really fast and doing all this stuff. And obviously if the teacher paid really close attention, he would realize that the Minecraft kid was not just listening to music, but was not listening to music at all, but instead was playing a video game with music in the background. So anyways, right, Noah's dude, this kid's gonna get caught. And sure enough, right, the Minecraft kid, I think in the beginning was playing normal Minecraft, but then he goes on to one of those servers. I think he's playing Bed Wars or something, and this kid is really good at Bed Wars. And when you're really good at Bed Wars, a lot of times you'll be clicking super fast so that you can place more blocks, or maybe when you're fighting someone, you take less knockback and you might get more hits. So this kid starts butterfly clicking, which is when you take 2 fingers and rapidly slam your mouse with it. And sure enough, right, the kid in the middle of class starts spamming his mouse and Noah was just dude, that's so loud. And sure enough, the teacher turns around and is like, hey, Minecraft kid, are you playing video games in class? And the Minecraft kid legitimately keeps on clicking because apparently he's in the middle of a fight or something, a PvP fight, and keeps on clicking, ignores the teacher for a good 10 seconds. The teacher looks at him in disbelief, and the Minecraft kid looks up and is like, huh? And the teacher's like, shut off your computer. You're not allowed to be playing video games in class. First you're listening to music, now you're playing video games. That's super disrespectful and distracting. You're not just distracting yourself, you're distracting everyone else in the class, and that is totally not fair for them. And he said, and then the teacher followed up by saying, Minecraft kid, you're on super thin ice. Turn off your video game. So the Minecraft kid is whatever, man. And closes the computer, closes the computer screen, whatever, and kind of slumps back in his chair with his arms crossed because, man, he just, he wanted to play Minecraft. He didn't want to pay attention to whatever was going on in class, right? So at this point, Noah thinks that the Minecraft kid is done being stupid in class, but Noah was very, very wrong to say the least. Because anyways, right, Noah kind of goes back to paying attention to the class, trying to take some notes. He's trying to do well in this class. And then Noah, to his surprise, hears clicking noises, and he's like, all right, there's no chance that like the Minecraft kid is back to playing his video games. But sure enough, the Minecraft kid had taken out his computer again and went back to playing Bed Wars. And once again, he's on his mouse going like clicking it literally as fast as he possibly could. And that he's not being slick. He's not being like anything like, he's not being clever or anything like that, because the teacher immediately turns around and is like, Minecraft kid, I told you, like, you can't be playing video games in class. I already told you you were on super thin ice. Like, that's it. If you can't like pay attention and you're going to be distracting everyone else, then you can't be in this class. Go to the principal's office and she'll deal with you. And the Minecraft kid just looks at him and says, what did you say to me? And the teacher's like, no back talk. Go to the principal's office now. And from here on, things were about to get much, much worse. But real quick, comment Minecraft down below if you want to harden your comment, as Minecraft is the secret word of the day. And by the way, if you've been binge watching my videos, please leave a comment like this down below so I can heart it, maybe reply, just so I can know that you're doing it and say thank you. Because when you watch a bunch of my videos in a row, it really does help out the channel more than you can even imagine. And I mean, also, if you want to be like this guy, I'm not saying to leave a playlist of my videos on overnight when you go to sleep with the volume on 1%, but I'm also not saying not to do that. Wink. Wink, 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 nod, smile. Anyways, back to the story. This is where it gets crazy. So at this point, the teacher has told the Minecraft kid that, you know, he needs to go to the principal's office right now. And the Minecraft kid is not happy about this at all. And so sure enough, you know, the teacher, let me just paint the picture for you guys. The teacher is sitting down at their desk, at their chair, whatever, right? And the Minecraft kid walks up to go to like the door to leave the class, presumably, right? You know, because he has to go to the principal's and whatever, right? So he walks up to the front of the class. At this point, everyone has kind of been paying attention. Noah's like, wow, like this kid, you know, whatever. I mean, the punishment fits the crime. If you're being an idiot, like play stupid games, expect stupid consequences, like it is, or expect stupid prizes. That's the actual phrase. My fault. But anyways, right, the Minecraft kid does something absolutely crazy because he walks up to the front of the class and he slows down as soon as he gets to his teacher. And the teacher's like, keep moving. Principal's office is that way. And as soon as the teacher says, keep moving, the principal office is that way, the Minecraft kid runs over to the teacher. And the teacher, remember, is sitting down at a pretty low desk / chair. And the Minecraft kid stands, like, whips out a chair, puts it down in front of the teacher. And the teacher is in the middle saying, hey. And the Minecraft kid steps on the chair, turns around, and rips the biggest fart you've ever heard in the teacher's face. Like, this is the most ridiculous thing Noah has ever seen in his life. And in Noah's head, he was like, huh? What? Huh? And the teacher was just as shocked. The teacher's just like in a state of disbelief, also a state of like stink, because like, man, the Minecraft kid was eating like mega like I don't know, he was eating like premium beans for the last 7 months before doing this fart, bro. I swear to God. Like Noah said he could like legit like smell it from being like 20 feet away. And the teacher's like, oh God. And then the Minecraft kid's like, yeah, and then runs away. So the teacher is now steaming mad because he's got this big old fart that was just like landed in his face. This kid is destroying his entire class. So now the Minecraft kid is like, catch me if you can, and starts running around the class. And the teacher is so mad right now. Like the teacher is so angry. So the teacher starts sprinting after the kid. And the Minecraft kid is like, it just starts like running around the class, pushing over chairs to make it harder for the teacher to get. And the teacher's like, that's it. You're gonna be suspended for so long. You'll be lucky if you don't get expelled. I'm calling up your parents and I'm writing a full report. And Noah and everyone else in that class was just sitting there with their mouths dropped their mouths dropped open to the floor. They were just like, what is going on? Like, oh my God. Like, I knew this kid was a little weird, but seriously, what is going on right now? And so the Minecraft kid is sprinting around the class, kind of doing like, so, you know, like in football where you kind of like psych them out and then you go the other way. And the teacher is kind of lumbering around like, every second that you're running, everything that you're pushing over, every like millisecond that you're not like obeying me and going to the principal's office, your punishment is increasing by 100%, which really doesn't make a lot of sense because there's a cap. Like you can't really punish someone beyond expelling them. So what's like 300,000% beyond expelled? I don't really know. You tell me. So anyways, right, the Minecraft kid's like, yeah, yeah, and then eventually, right, the Minecraft kid accidentally like trips on something. The Minecraft kid falls, and at this point, the teacher has made up enough ground to grab the Minecraft kid by the hood of his, by like the scruff of his creeper hoodie, and it's like, you are coming with me. And the entire class is so silent as this is the most ridiculous thing they have ever seen in their life. And Noah is just like, oh my God, do I have a story to tell my mom? So anyways, the Minecraft kid is being dragged out by his creeper hoodie and all four legs are flailing. He's like, no, no, no. And then like the teacher goes out the door, slams it shut. The entire class is silent. No one's mumbling. You would have thought that people would have been like, wow, that was crazy, guys. I wonder what's... No. Nope. It was dead silent. Nobody uttered a word. And because of this silence, they were able to hear very clearly the teacher yell, hey, get back here. And within about 20 seconds of them hearing the teacher yell that, they once again see the class door slam open, and the Minecraft kid, with his hair all messed up and his clothes all kind of like ripped up a little bit, runs into the classroom, slams the door shut, and then locks it. Because for some reason, this door locks from the inside, which actually, I guess that does make sense, but he locks it from the inside. You didn't need a key, you just needed to press something. And the Minecraft kid goes over to the teacher's desk after locking the door, literally takes his foot and kicks off everything, including like a $500 Chromebook, right? That kind of breaks on the floor. All the books fall over. The teacher's coffee mug flies off the desk and like smashes on the floor. And the Minecraft kid steps on the teacher's chair and then steps on the desk and is like, attention! I mean, dude, he didn't really need to say attention to get their attention because literally everyone was paying attention to this guy at this point. The Minecraft kid goes on to declare himself as the ruler of the class and that he is now the dictator and they must do what he says. And everyone in the class is just like completely silent because they're just so shocked by the chain of events that just happened. And the Minecraft kid says, now, as ruler of the class, you must refer to me as Lord. You will not call me by my name. Let's call him Joseph. You will not call me by my name, Joseph. You will only call me by Lord. And everyone in the class is just like, huh? This is bit like, they're just like, what happened in the last 7 minutes of this class? How did we get from learning about the quadratic equation to this, to having a kid like fart in the teacher's face, run away from them, close the door, slam all their stuff off the desk, and declare himself ruler of the class? How did we get here? So anyways, right, they're basically held hostage by the Minecraft kid because, sure enough, like people come to the door, they're slamming on it. They're like, hey, let us in. And the Minecraft kid's like, nobody go to that door. Like nobody dare do it. And one kid is like, hey, like I got to go to the bathroom because at this point, they were kind of like accepting that the Minecraft kid was the de facto ruler, at least for the next like 10 minutes or so. And, the Minecraft kid's like, no, that's treacherous. You just want to let them in. And the kid's like, dude, no, like I really got to pee. And the Minecraft kid's like, that's too bad. You should have thought of that before I took over. And the kid's like, bro, like, how would I have known that any of this nonsense was going to happen? The Minecraft kid is like, too bad, so sad. So at this point, Joseph was sitting in, or Noah, not Joseph, sorry, that's the name I gave the Minecraft kid. At this point, Noah was sitting in class and he was getting he was getting pretty upset. He just didn't want to deal with, the Minecraft kid anymore. He was like, this kid is a menace. He's totally insane. The thing is, Noah's actually trying to pay attention in class. Like Noah is trying to get his grade back because he was struggling on the first couple tests. So he was really committing to learning the material. And he was getting kind of angry that he was kind of being robbed of this experience. As funny as he thought it was, he really didn't want to like have to deal with this much longer. So Noah was thinking to himself, all right, there are most likely security guards at the door, if not some kind of adult that can help us in this situation. Because for the last couple of minutes or so, people have been slamming on the door, let us in, Minecraft kid, or Joseph, let us in, Joseph. Like, you gotta let us in, man. Your punishment will be worse, or it will be your punishment will be worse the longer this is. And so, you know, at this point, Noah is like, all right, I think I'm just going to make a dash for it, but I got to cover it up so this crazy kid doesn't like fart attack me or something. Like, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't want freaking pink eye, bro. Like, that's disgusting. So Noah's like, hey, like, do you mind if I sharpen my pencil? And the Minecraft kid's not the brightest man ever. So he's like, sure, peasant, go ahead. And then he's like, wait, no. And then Noah's like, dude, what? He's like, ask me again, but you must refer to me as Lord. And Noah in his head is like, all right, this kid freaking sucks, but I'm about to ruin him. So yeah, whatever he wants for his next 30 seconds of rulership. So he's like, my lord, do you mind if I sharpen my pencil? And the Minecraft kid is like, fine, peasant, go ahead. And like the Minecraft kid is like sitting on the desk and he's kind of made it like a king, like a kind of like a king throne in a sense. And everyone is kind of like whispering to each other, like going on their phones, like trying to like contact people. But sure enough, right, Noah kind of walks up and is very calmly walking towards the, you know, the pencil sharpener, which was on the other side of the room as the door. It was towards the front of the room, which means he didn't have to do a massive sprint, but it was kind of on the other side. So he's walking very slowly to the pencil sharpener. And that's when he's able to look out the door. And sure enough, there are like, he sees the outlines of two pretty big guys and he's like, all right, these are the security officers. And, you know, as the Minecraft kid is like disciplining someone being like, no, you must refer to me as Lord because they asked a question or something, that no one realized that that was his moment. That was his opportunity. So he changes direction incredibly quickly, sprints towards the door, and the Minecraft kid is like, peasant, what are you doing? And at that point, Noah goes to the door, quickly unlocks it, opens it up, steps aside, and two big security guards run into the room, and they just grab the Minecraft kid. And the Minecraft kid's like, no, my peasants, fight for me. I have been a great ruler. I've been a great king. No. And he's dragged out. And at this point, right, the teacher returns to the classroom, completely out of breath. Her hair is all frizzed up. And she's just like, class, I don't think I have it in me to finish the class today. I will like allow you guys to have recess or break period. I will have to monitor you guys, but please don't ask me to do anything. I don't have the energy or willpower right now. And the entire class was very understanding as this, you know, when you go to teacher school, when you take the final exam for being a teacher, there's no final like trick question of like, what do you do if a Minecraft kid farts in your face and then literally starts a coup and takes control of your classroom? That's not on the final exam. That's not in the job description. So everyone was they're pretty forgiving. What ends up happening, however, is the teacher doesn't like monitor them. The teacher just gets another person to watch after them because the teacher's actually going to the hospital because her eyes and her entire face were feeling weird. What ended up happening was both the teacher ended up getting like had to go to the hospital and got like pink eye, like a very severe case, and got like an eye infection. She's totally fine now apparently, but when the Minecraft kid farted in her face, all these like gross disgusting germs got in there and it could have been really bad. And because of all the nonsense that the Minecraft kid was doing, he was suspended for 2 entire weeks. Honestly, he's lucky that he didn't get expelled, but he was also afterwards, after those 2 weeks were up, he was invited back to the classroom and he had to also during those 2 weeks write a paper saying why what he did was wrong and apologize to everyone. And he was forced to read that in front of the entire class. And Noah tells me that it was probably the most awkward experience.
Click on the video on
life.
Screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it.
Today we got a story time of probably one of the most spoiled kids to ever exist.
So subscribe if you guys like stories, and let's call today's subscriber Lennon. Anyways, right, so this all happened one day when Lennon was in class, and his teacher was like, all right, guys, so to finish off the year, we're going to have a really big group project, and the groups are going to be randomized, and in about 5 or 10 minutes, I'll be reading out the groups. In the meantime, I don't know, read from the textbooks, chapters, I don't know, whatever, right? And the teacher goes to his computer, goes to like a random number generator, and lists out all the names of the people in the class and assigns them a random number. And sure enough, after about 5 to 10 minutes, the teacher's like, all right, class, so I will be reading out the people in your group for your major assignment. So the teacher gets the class's attention, is like, all right, class, so I'm going to read out the people that's going to be in your group. And Lennon was really hoping that his friends would be in his group, but he knew that the odds were against it since it was randomized, but there was always a chance, so Lennon held out hope. And anyways, Lennon was sitting there at his desk, all excited, and sure enough, the teacher reads out the names, and the teacher's like, all right, so group 1 says a bunch of names, group 2 says a bunch of names, and finally group 3 says, all right, we have Lennon. Lennon's like, all right, this is my group. Says another name of a kid Lennon doesn't know that well, and Lennon's like, all right, and then says the third name, Spoiled Kid. All right, his name isn't actually Spoiled Kid, but Lennon kind of knew him as like the massively spoiled, entitled kid, and in Lennon's head, he was like, no. And anyways, right, the teacher finishes off reading out the other groups. He's like, all right, guys, so the project will be, it says some assignment that they have to do research on and present for the entire class, right? He says, all right, get with your small groups and start planning how you're going to like want to approach the project and then how you're going to want to divvy up the work. As we're still going to be doing regular school in class, and you guys are going to have to do this assignment out of class. There will be one day right before the day you guys present to kind of finish off the finishing touches and also to give you guys a little bit of time to make sure that you're all on the same page and prepared to present it. So anyways, right, Lennon and the other guy and the spoiled kid, we're just going to call the other guy Ben because we're bringing back the classic name on the channel. And also, he's not, sorry, Ben, you're not that important to the story. But anyways, right, Ben, Lennon, and the spoiled kid all sit down at the table and they start discussing what they want to do, and they choose a very specific topic that's in the, I don't know what they're studying, but they choose a specific topic, and then they decide, all right, well, let me write out something, how we're going to divide this up. So Lennon and Ben were kind of sitting there being like, all right, so I can do this, you can do this, the spoiled kid can do this. The spoiled kid was not even paying attention. The spoiled kid was secretly going on his phone. It was a pretty big no-no in class to go on your phone, but obviously if the teacher doesn't catch you, I mean, Lennon and Ben weren't necessarily going to be like, teacher, there's a kid on his phone. They didn't want to be that kid, and I mean, I don't want to be that kid otherwise. However, it's pretty annoying when the spoiled kid just like isn't helping you with a group assignment. I mean, bro, it's a group assignment. The group isn't silent, and the group is silent in the group assignment, man. Like, come on now. But anyways, right, they're like, fine. The spoiled kid doesn't have to pay attention as long as we tell him afterwards what he needs to do and for him to do it. So Lennon and Ben finish divvying up all the work, and they're like, all right, spoiled kid, and he kind of gets off his phone. He's like, yeah, what's up, guys? And they're like, all right, so we got 2 weeks to do this assignment. You're just going to have to look up this, and this. We'll make a shared Google Doc so that like, or Google Slides or whatever, so we can all kind of keep track. There's no real timeline that you have to do this by, but honestly, just do this before the day before the assignment so that we can know exactly what we're doing when we can divvy it up and decide how we're going to do the presentation, and maybe even practice it a bit during that time period or during that class period. And sure enough, the spoiled kid's like, whatever, like, I'll do that. Like, you guys are good. And so Ben and Lennon are like, all right, man, like, that sounds pretty good. So fast forward a little bit. It's been a week, and Ben and Lennon have done about like 90% of what they're supposed to do. I mean, they don't have to do it for another week, but the spoiled kid has not even logged into the Google Doc. Not even appeared once, like not even like edited in like a period or his name or decided to refont something and make it look like he was doing something. Spoiled kid was not even attempting to make it look like he cared. So, in class, after class, the bell rings and Lennon goes up to the spoiled kid and is like, hey man, like, no rush at all. You don't need to do any work until like you just make sure you have it done before the end. And like I just want to make sure that you got the document and it was shared with you. The spoiled kid's like, yeah. Like the doc was shared with me. Like I'll do it before like we have to turn it in. Don't worry about it. I just do stuff kind of last minute. So anyways, Lennon's like, all right, like that's fine, I guess. And fast forward to the day or the day in class where it's time for them to basically have everything done. So at this point, Lennon and Ben they have done 100% of what they're supposed to do. And they are looking at the Google Doc, and sure enough, The spoiled kid is not even logged in once. And they're kind of just looking at each other like, bro, what's going on? And yeah, at this point, it's about like 8 at night. Lennon's about to go to bed in like an hour or two. And the spoiled kid has done nothing. And remember that the next day is not the day of the presentation, but it's the day in class where, because remember, every other day, they have not been able to do this assignment in class. They've been forced to kind of do this at home while they cover material in class. However, this day is the day before the assignment, and the teacher has given them this day to kind of prepare the presentation with the group, maybe run it through a couple times, because this is a very big presentation, and he at least wants to make sure that everyone is coordinated. But by this point, more or less all the work should be done, and Lennon and Ben have already done all the work, and the spoiled kid has not even logged in once. But Lennon is thinking to himself, all right, well, the spoiled kid said he did do stuff pretty last minute. So maybe when he said last minute, he meant something like, I do it literally like in the hour before I come to class. Like, he didn't know how last minute he meant. And like, man, sometimes I do stuff a little bit too last minute, but never do it this last minute. And so Ben and Lennon kind of went to bed that night, assuming that they would wake up the next day and the work would be done and their presentation would be 100% done from all the people, so that when they go into class, they can run it through a couple times, make sure that on the day of the presentation, which would be tomorrow or the day after the class day, that they would be chilling and they wouldn't need to worry about anything. But sure enough, right, the sun rises, the birds chirp, the alarm goes off, and Lennon like opens up his computer, he loads up Google whatever slides, and yeah, the spoiled kid has done nothing. He's just like, what? The secret word of the day is spoiled, so comment spoiled down below, and I'll try and heart your comment to say thank you for watching this far into the video. And also, if you want to support the channel, binge watch my videos, just watch a bunch of them at once, and please let me know in the comment section down below, and especially like if you're like 7 videos in, let me know that you're 7 videos in. I'll try and heart your comment, I'll try and reply to a few, just to say thank you, as it really does help the channel even more than you know. This comment says it right. Anyways, right, so Lennon is just kind of mad, bro. He's like, dude, this kid has been given so much time, and like at the end of the day, like he didn't do the work. I mean, there's a chance he logs in an hour before, but this is like, the spoiled kid was given at least like 3 to 4 hours worth of work. If he was being super efficient, super focused, not going on his phone at all, it had taken Lennon like 6 to 7 hours, because Lennon kind of went above and beyond to make sure that he was doing the best possible job. And the spoiled kid had done none of it. And Lennon is just making the assumption now that the spoiled kid screwed him and Ben over, and that they're going to go into class and he's going to have done none of it. But he's like, you know what? Maybe the kid's a genius and he can do it in an hour before class. I don't know, man. You know what? Whatever. And so sure enough, Lennon does not check his phone until he gets to class. Or check, not his phone, but checks the Google Doc, Google Slide, whatever, just in case, holding out a little bit of hope. So sure enough, right, Ben is sitting there too, and the spoiled kid is not there yet, as the spoiled kid is usually a little late to class. And, Lennon goes to Ben and says, hey, like, did you see how has the spoiled kid done the work yet? And Ben is like, dude, no, the spoiled kid has not done anything. And Lennon's like, wait, so he still hasn't done anything? And Lennon's like, yes, he still hasn't done anything. And, or Ben is like, okay, wow. So Lennon and Ben sit there and they're like, all right, what are we going to do? Because like, we don't want to have to do the extra work and then have the spoiled kid get all the credit. And so sure enough, right, they decide, all right, we're going to confront the spoiled kid today, tell him that he needs to do the work. But in the meantime, right, we should do the work, and we should just do it, but do it secretly. And they decide to split it up. They talk amongst themselves, and they're like, all right, we're going to split this up like this. And, Lennon does half the work and Ben does the other half the work that the spoiled kid is supposed to do in the first place. But they don't tell the spoiled kid, because they only want to put it in last minute if he doesn't do the work, because at the end of the day, they're not failing even if he doesn't care, right? But they're going to tell the spoiled kid that he needs to do the work or else, right? So spoiled kid comes into class, he's like, what's up, losers? And Ben and Lennon are just like, did you just call us losers? And he's like, yeah, losers. Like, what are we even doing today? And Ben's like, man, I told you, you got to get the work done before today in class. And the spoiled kid's like, whatever. Like, the presentation isn't even until tomorrow, man. What does it even matter to you? And Ben and Lennon were so shocked by how snappy this kid was being, because this kid was being snappy at them for not doing the work when they were supposed to. And Lennon was like, bro, we need to practice the presentation in class, and we can't because you didn't do the work. And spoiled kid's like, whatever, man. Like, I'm going to get it done before it's time anyways. Why do you care so much? So Ben and Lennon are like, all right, man, well, we're going to practice our part of the presentation together, but like, since you don't have anything done, you can't do anything. You can't practice with us. But we are trusting you to have this done before tomorrow when we're presenting. Don't forget, this is like 40% of our grade. This is massive. And if you mess this up, we all failed, not just you. So even if you don't care, realize that we do care. And the spoiled kid is like, yeah, whatever, bro. Like, go off, do that. I'm just going to go on my phone. And he whips out his phone, takes out his AirPods, put them in his like AirPod Max Pro Gold Edition Hermes bracelet. I don't even know, man. Got a little love bracelet on. He's just looking at his like TikTok. He's like, yeah, Charlie D'Amelio, yeah. Yeah, man is extra cringe and spoiled at the same time. It's crazy, bro. But anyways, right, so at this point, right, Lennon and Ben, they're just like, fine, whatever. They go off, they practice their presentation, and sure enough, class is over, and they go back home. And Lennon and Ben, they exchanged phone numbers beforehand because they didn't know each other that well. And so they call up each other, and they're like, all right, so I don't think he's going to do the work. Let's just grind this out tonight. We'll get it done. But do not put it into the presentation until like 5 minutes before class. And Lennon and Ben are like, all right, they do the work. And sure enough, they have it all done. And they call up each other again, and they're like, all right, so and Ben asked Lennon, what's the plan if, the teacher doesn't or what's the plan? How do we tell the teacher? What's the plan if the spoiled kid really doesn't do the work? How are we going to go about that? So Lennon explains to Ben that, they're going to put it in last minute. And then after class, they're going to explain to the teacher that the spoiled kid did not do any of the work. They gave them ample time, basically tell you the story I just told you, but also show proof in the Google Docs that the only people that have edited it were, them and not the spoiled kid. So sure enough, flash forward to the next day, and the spoiled kid has not done anything. And Lennon and Ben get to class a little early. They look at the document, and they're like, yeah, man, all right, well, that was expected. And they paste in the work from their notes, and now it is a full presentation. And so sure enough, right, a spoiled kid gets to class, and they're like, hey, you didn't do the work, but we did it for you. We have to make it so that all three of us have equal say in the presentation, or we're going to get points off. So just read this part of the presentation. The spoiled kid's like, okay, whatever. And Lennon and Ben are just so mad at this point because he's not even being thankful. He's still being a jerk the entire time. And sure enough, right, so the people go up, they do their presentations, and it is finally time for Lennon, Ben, and the spoiled kid to go up. And Lennon and Ben, they do their parts, and then the spoiled kid does the third part, and also that's the final part. So the spoiled kid literally just reads off the slides, which you're not supposed to do. They're going to lose points for that, but whatever, right? Lennon and Ben are like, fine, at least he spoke. And then the spoiled kid is like, at the very end, he's like, thank you guys so much for listening. I spent so much time on this. In fact, I basically did all of this. Lennon and Ben were just leeching off of me, but you know how it is, guys. You hate to see it. And Lennon got so angry. His face was legitimately getting red. And the teacher's like, all right, next up. And they all go to sit down. And the spoiled kid sits very far away from them because he understands that they're going to get mad at him. And Lennon and Ben sit together. And they're just like, dude, what just happened? Like, the kid literally, one, didn't do any of the work, did a terrible presentation, and then said that, he was the one who did all the work in front of everyone. And so Lennon and Ben are like, all right, we need to go to the teacher immediately after class. So once the class ends, the teacher says, thank you guys almost so much for the presentations. I realize how much work went into this, and I'm going to turn back the grades tomorrow, but for the rest of the class, I'm just going to play a really fun movie. It's going to be a really chill class, and honestly, for the rest of the year, we only have a week or so left. It's going to be super chill. Thank you guys so much for all the work you did today. And so the class is really happy. They all get up and leave, including the spoiled kid, who's like, yes, I got out of this. I didn't have to do any work. Now I can go back and, I don't know, play more CSGO Surf or what. I don't know, man. He's just very excited. But Lennon and Ben, they decide to stay. And the teacher's like, oh, Lennon, Ben, actually, I wanted to talk to you guys as well. I did hear the spoiled kid say during the presentation that, you know, you guys were kind of leeching off of him and you didn't do any of the work. And just so you know, like, this is not, you don't all receive the same grade. It is graded individually as well for your presentation. And also if I hear that the work is not even. And Lennon and Ben are like, all right, well, we have a lot to explain. So Lennon and Ben basically explain the story that I just told you guys. And the teacher's like, wow, like, that's the opposite of what the spoiled kid said. And Lennon's like, well, we got proof as well, unlike him. And so sure enough, they show him the Google Slides or Google Doc, and it has the message or like the history of who's doing anything. And the teacher's like, wow, he didn't even log in once. So he didn't just not do the work, but he also lied and took credit for your work in front of everyone. And Lennon is like, yeah, that's why I was so angry. And the teacher's like, wow, that's actually insane. Like, good to know. I'll definitely factor that into the grading. So anyways, next day rolls around and they're all sitting down. The teacher's like, all right, I'm going to hand back to all you guys a slip of paper with, you know, your grade and a little bit of feedback, and just chill for the rest of class. You all more or less did pretty well. And the teacher had to say more or less everyone did well, because basically everyone got a B or an A, except for the spoiled kid who got an F. But anyways, right, teacher's going around handing out slips of paper, and he hands it to the spoiled kid, and the teacher's only able to get like 6 steps away when the spoiled kid says, hey, you, and turns to the teacher, and the teacher's like, what did you say to me? He's like, why did I get an F? I did all the work, and my presentation was one of the best ones. And the teacher's like, you guys had a very good presentation, but, you know, your other 2 partners came and said that you did none of the work and just took credit for it. And the spoiled kid's like, lies, lies, lies. And at this point, Lennon's like, oh my God, this kid is going insane. And the teacher responds very calmly, well, I'm sorry to say, they showed the history, right? They showed the work history, and you didn't even log in once. And you went up there and took credit for the work that they did. They even showed that the work that was your part, that they had worked on in a document, and that you had not done anything. And the spoiled kid, and realizing that he's caught, realizing that he's screwed, is like, you're poor, I'm rich, take this L, and then starts doing some like cringe default dance. He's like, it doesn't matter if I fail this, you're still in poverty, and I'm in wealth. At this point, Lennon and Ben just look at each other, and the entire class falls silent, because this kid basically has a mental breakdown. It's like, you're poor, and then the kid starts going around pointing to like the different kids. It's like, you're poor, and then he points to himself. He's like, I'm rich. You see these AirPods? He takes out his like AirPod Pro Plus or whatever. He's like, look at this bracelet. It is $3,000. And the teacher's like, hey, stop it. Like, you got to be like, quiet down. This is so rude and disrespectful. Like, I'm going to send you to the principals if you don't stop talking, right? And the spoiled kid's like, I don't care if I go to the principal. What is he going to do? Be poor? Oh, yeah, he is. And you know who isn't? This guy. And he points to himself. And the principal's like, out of my class. Or not the principal, but the teacher's like, out of my classroom. Get out of here. Go to the principal's office. And the spoiled kid starts doing like the moonwalk out. He's like, starts pointing to everyone while doing the moonwalk. He's like, poor, 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 and goes out the classroom. And the teacher is just dead silent. And the entire class is dead silent. No one dares break the silence, because this kid just had one of the biggest freakouts of all time. I mean, nothing matches this, man. The craziest thing. And the teacher is like, you know, if anyone wants to try and top that, go ahead. And everyone kind of breaks into laughter just to kind of break the silence. And he said, okay, that was not exactly how I was expecting this day to go, but I'm going to try and keep the rest of the day on schedule. So let's watch this movie. And I'm probably going to have to leave to go talk to the principal, but I hope you guys enjoy it. So anyways, right, the teacher gets up, leaves, goes down to the principal's office, and Lennon and Ben are just sitting there. They're like, wow, I never really talked to the spoiled kid before, and I don't think I will ever talk to him again. But if anyone ever asks, do I have a story? Man, do I have a story to tell them?
Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it. Today we got a story of a teacher who catches a kid using the school computer to look at some pretty spaghetti-o naughty websites. However, it is much deeper than that and a really crazy story that I know you guys will enjoy. So subscribe if you like stories, leave a like in the video, and let's call today's subscriber Emmett. So this all happened one day when Emmett was in class, and during this class they were using the computer lab. At Emmett's school, the school had like a kind of a place where they had a bunch of computers and classes could rent out the room to go on the internet, basically.
So basically, this happened one day in the computer lab, and Emmett was on his computer just kind of doing what he was told to do. They were told to, I don't know, do a research project. By the way, this happened in 4th grade, so they had a pretty simple research project. I don't know about you, but I was not asked to do any crazy research projects when I was in 4th grade. It was pretty simple. It was pretty run-of-the-mill. He had to look up like something about a topic and get like one source, and he had to cite it very simply, right? So anyways, there was also a bully in Emmett's class. And in Emmett's class, this bully had been picking on Emmett for a while, but it was nothing too serious until today, where he almost got Emmett in a ton of trouble, as you'll see. So Emmett had to go use the bathroom, and he kind of got up from his computer and left to go use the bathroom, right? And the teacher was very busy on, her computer. She was not really looking at what was going on, and she kind of just let the kids go ahead and do whatever they wanted to do. So the bully saw this as a perfect opportunity. 1, the teacher was not paying attention, and 2, Emmett was away from the computer, and the teacher did not know that Emmett left or that the bully was going to go mess with the computer. So what the bully did is, while Emmett was gone, the bully went up to Emmett's computer, went up on Google, and looked up a whole host of really bad stuff. You guys can fill in the gaps. I'm not going to say anything specific, but a lot of websites that were definitely not school friendly, and we're going to get him in a lot of trouble because he looked them up, not just for the fact of looking them up, but also because they were on school computers. It was during school hours, and it was really not what he was supposed to be doing on those computers anyways. So the bully knew that Emmett was going to get into a bit of trouble. And so anyways, right, Emmett eventually comes back from the bathroom break, and before, Emmett came back, the bully made sure to open up a new tab and delete the old tab, but not delete the old tab's search history. So anyways, right, Emmett is back on his computer doing what he's normally doing, and the bully goes up to the teacher saying that, "Oh, Miss Teacher, I saw Emmett using the computer inappropriately, Miss Teacher. I think he deleted the tabs, but go check his search history. He was looking up a lot of really bad stuff and scaring kids, and I need you to help." And the teacher's like, all right, Mr. Bully. Obviously says his real name, but I'm just going to call him Mr. Bully. All right, Mr. Bully, I'll go look into it. You can go back to your project or whatever. So Emmett is just sitting at his computer. He's just kind of doing what he's supposed to be doing. And the teacher comes up and says, "Emmett, I've heard you've been looking up some inappropriate stuff on the computer. I need to check your search history." And Emmett, who was in the bathroom and had literally no idea, was like, that's not true. That's not the case. I've just been doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but yeah, go ahead and search it. I really don't care. I have literally nothing to hide. And so sure enough, right, the teacher goes on Emmett's computer, opens up the search history, and finds a lot of distasteful stuff. And I'm not really going to say what it is, but you can make some assumptions, a whole host of stuff. And she's like, "Emmett, I was really hoping that this report was false. I'm so disappointed in you. You're such a good kid. Why would you look up all this disgusting stuff on the school search history?" So Emmett is like, "What are you talking about?" And he looks at the computer and looks at the search history. He's like, "Hey." And Emmett's like, but teacher, you got to understand, this wasn't me." And the teacher just says, "Oh, so what do you want me to believe? That, Google, the massive trillion-dollar corporation, decided to sabotage you, Emmett, individually for, I don't know, your crimes against their company? Did you go ahead into their Google headquarters and steal their secrets?" And Emmett's like, I don't know. I just didn't type this stuff." And she's like, "Let me guess. You were hacked by a hacker or something?" Teacher was going in pretty hard. And Emmett's like, "You got to believe me." And the teacher's like, "Why would I believe you? It literally says here, all the things you searched up, this is your computer. It even says the times that these were searched." And Emma was like, "Oh, that's impossible. I left to go to the bathroom." And she's like, That's what they all say. Did a hacker come in and type this stuff? Did the boogeyman come in and harass your computer and kick you off it and then type all this stuff? And then, oh no, you tried to delete it and you tried to stop them, but you couldn't. Emmett, go to the front office. And Emmett's like, "No, I swear." And the teacher's like, "Emmett, I'm not going to tell you this again. Go to the front office. I'm going to write up a little report. And by the time you get there, the principal's going to know everything that you did." And Emmett's like, "You got to understand." And she's like, "What am I to understand? That the search history is false?" And Emmett's like, "No, you don't understand." She's like, "Go to the front office now." Sure enough, right, Emmett walks up to the front office and the principal's like, "Emmett, you're such a good kid. And the stuff that I saw that I was told that you were looking up, so disgusting, so disturbing. What happened to you? You've never been in here for anything negative before." And Emmett's like, "You got to believe me. I just didn't search that stuff up." And the principal's like, "From what the report I got from your teacher, it is I just don't see how I could ever believe that. So sure enough, right, the principal's like, Emmett, I hate to do this, right, but I gotta call up your mom and tell you what happened. And look, here's the thing, right? Whenever you do something, or when you're apparently framed for doing something that, like, I don't know, is a little bit, a little bit not so safe for work, right? And then, like, the worst punishment, I would rather, get in school suspension. I would rather get detention. I would rather get a failing grade than having my parents know about it, bro. Like, somehow that is the worst punishment of them all. So yeah, sure enough, right, the principal calls up his mom, and Emmett's mom's like, oh, hello? Like, I'm in work right now. Do you need me to come in? Is Emmett, like, sick or something? And she's like, well, he's not sick, but I do need your attention for a little bit. Principal goes on in painstaking detail to explain everything that was filed in the report. Emmett is just sitting there in the chair, just like basically on the brink of tears at this point, just completely cringing out because it's just really uncomfortable. And he's hearing his mom sound so disappointed. And it is just honestly such an awful thing. And Emmett at this point is also so confused because he has no idea that the bully was the one who went on his computer, framed him, and then reported him falsely, right? So he's just sitting there and he's just feeling so gross and so awful and just so sad. It's a really terrible moment for him. So next day rolls around, and by the way, yes, his mom was very angry at him, and he got his like electronics taken away at home. It was just a bad day. Real quick, comment bully down below if you want a heart on your comment. The secret word of the day is bully. I'll try to heart as many comments as possible. And also, let me know in the comment section if you're ever binge watching my videos. If you don't know, the best way to support my channel and for my channel to grow is when you guys just watch a ton of my videos. Like if you just binge watch like a ton of the videos. And if you want to help with that, in the description are playlists of my videos and also in the playlist tab. Let me know and I'll try and personally thank you. But anyways, right back to the story. The next day, Emmett comes in. And he's just in a bad mood because the last like 16 hours have been both humiliating, depressing, frustrating, and also super confusing because he has no idea what happened, right? And that's when he walked into school and he was just like, he had his backpack on, he was walking to class, kind of sulking around, and the bully comes up to him and stands right in front of him. Since Emmett is not looking where he's going, he bumps right into the bully, and the bully's like, huh. and Emmett's like, bro, why are you laughing? Like what's so funny? The bully's like, huh, do you like that little prank I pulled on you? And Emmett's like, wait, what? The bully's like, yeah, when you went to go to the bathroom, like I typed all those things in the search history, reported you, and then you got into massive trouble. At this point, right, Emmett just like everything clicked and he was furious. Emmett was like, how dare you do that to me? Like, it was like so bad. Like, I don't know, like I had to my mom heard about it, got my electronics taken away. I have to go to detention for the rest of the week. And the bully's like, looks like you took this L, bro. Looks like you took this L. Take this L, bro. L, you ratio. Just a lot of cringe like that. And Emmett is so mad. And he's like, dude, I'm going to report you. And, the bully's like, yeah, and I'm going to deny it. And who are they going to believe? The kid who got in trouble and is saying, oh, someone else did it? Or me, who just said, like, it didn't happen. You're not going to win this, bro. Take this L, unlucky. And the bully walks away. And Emmett is so angry. He is steaming. He's furious. Emmett is just so angry at this point, and he's walking into class, and he's just like, I have to do all this nonsense. Like, I can at least tell my mom about it. I don't know if she's going to believe me, but, the bully is totally right. The principal is just going to think that I'm lying and probably just get me in more trouble. Emmett walks by, the computer room, and as he walks by, Emmett looks into the computer room, and when he looks in, probably the greatest thing he has ever seen appeared. Or not appeared, but was there. When Emmett looked into the computer room, he saw security cameras because it's a room full of like thousands of dollars worth of electronics. Of course, they're going to have the place monitored. And Emmett was like, oh my God, like if they didn't delete the footage of like yesterday, right? And they can look at it, they can see footage of, and hopefully my computer is in sight, they can see footage of the bully getting out of his chair, going over to my computer, typing on it, and then going up to the teacher to tell on me, and they'll know that I was in the clear and that he was the one typing that stuff on the computer. So Emmett immediately races to the principal's office, knocks on the door, bum, 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 bum. The principal's like, come in, like, what's up? And Emmett was like, you're not going to believe me, but I will there's a chance I have proof. So Emmett goes on to explain that the bully came up to him, said all of that stuff, and that it wasn't actually him. And the principal's like, Emmett, like, don't lie to me. Like, that's only gonna make things worse. And Emmett's like, no, 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 I actually think I have proof. Do you have access to the security camera footage inside the computer room? And the principal's like, well, I don't have it directly, but I could ask someone about it. Like, they do delete it every 2 days. And Emma was like, it only happened yesterday. The footage is still there. And, you know, the principal's like, all right, well, just so you know, if we look at the footage and it just shows you doing this, like, you're going to get in even more trouble. And it's like, I'm totally willing to take that risk because I'm telling the truth. So it takes a little while, about like 30 minutes or so, but eventually the principal, has access to the security camera footage, and it's also the security guard who like let them into like the main room and is like, all right, do you know when your class was? And Emmett says, oh, my class happened at X time. And so the security guard is like, all right, well, I found the time. The class was 45 minutes, so he's like, do you know about when you left to go to the bathroom? And Emmett's like, I think around the halfway mark. And, sure enough, they go to the halfway mark. They're watching for a couple minutes, and, Emmett's still on the computer, and the principal's like, Emmett, you've not left the computer. And Emmett's like, please, like, you can expel me if it shows proof that I was actually the one doing it. And the principal's like, all right. Sure enough, we'll just sit down, we'll look through this. And yeah, eventually they come to the point, and yeah, Emmett gets up. And he goes to the bathroom, and you know who comes over? The bully, and he's on the computer, and then he goes away, and he deletes, and then Emmett comes back, and the principal's like, oh my God. And Emmett just has this wave of relief rush over him, because he's like, finally, like, there's proof to what I'm saying. And the principal's like, I'm so sorry, Emmett, like, I had no idea. And Emmett's like, I wouldn't believe myself either if I'm being serious. And yeah, so sure enough, right, the principal's like, all right, I need you to, wait, can you clip this? And the security guard's like, yeah, I can get this to you in like, I don't know, 30 minutes. So they go back, and the principal's like, all right, I'm going to excuse you from whatever class you're missing. I'd like you to stay here. And they kind of wait around for 30 minutes until the video comes, and they get it by email. The principal's like, all right, perfect. And so principal goes over, connects to like the loudspeaker and says, hey, can bully, says the actual name, can bully come up to the front office? And so sure enough, right, the bully walks in and sees Emmett's face and is super startled, like super thrown off guard. And the bully sits down and is obviously a little bit nervous. And the principal explains that, that Emmett has, said that, the bully came and, did the search results himself, and that he set him up. But the principal did not mention anything about the footage, so the bully had no idea that his actions were caught on camera. The bully just thought that Emmett, after the bully like taunted him about it, went to the principal and told his side. So the bully's like, Miss Principal, right? Do you really believe that story? I mean, how preposterous is it? Emmett obviously, right? Emmett obviously just got caught, and, he's trying to get out of trouble, and he's trying to drag me down. Like, I'm a pretty good kid, and it's pretty sad and pretty disappointing to see Emmett try and take me down just because he made a mistake. Honestly, I hope this punishment, sets Emmett the right way. He's a good kid at heart, and he just made a mistake. But it's really just disappointing to see him try and take me down as well. And Emmett, while the entire time, while the bully was saying this like nonsense, right, was smiling, had this massive grin on his face. And so the principal was like, oh, is that the case? And, the bully's like, yep, that's what happened. Like, I'm sorry that, like, this had to be dragged out. And I'm sorry that, like, all your time is being wasted, Miss Principal. And the principal's like, yeah, I'm also sorry that my time's being wasted. Whips out her laptop, flips the thing around. She's had the video pulled up for a while. Hits play, and it's a videotape footage. And Emmett looks as the bully's face drops. And sure enough, it shows Emmett getting up, going off to the bathroom, and the bully walking over, typing on the computer, and then leaving. And the bully immediately, remember, 1 second ago, he was like, oh, it's so sad to see me being roped into this. I'm sorry your time's being wasted. The bully, immediately after seeing this, breaks into tears, like full on crying. And Emmett's like, bro, what? What's this tough guy persona and then all this nonsense, dude? And the bully's like, oh, and the principal's like, all right, well, do you want to apologize to Emmett? And the bully's like, Emmett, please. And the bully literally gets out of the chair and drops to his knees. And it's like, Emmett, please forgive me. And Emmett's like, oh my God, this guy is such a loser. Oh my God, he doesn't say that. And, Emmett's like, you know what? It's fine. Like, don't worry about it. And the bully's like, thank you for your forgiveness. And Emmett kind of believes that the bully thought that, like, if he seems so remorseful and if Emmett forgave him, right, that he would get out of any punishment. Well, that was just simply not the case because sure enough, the principal's like, all right, well, thank you for forgiving to Emmett, but now time for the punishment. And the bully was like, punishment? Because he really thought that if he was like crying and seemed so more remorseful, he wouldn't get a punishment. But yeah, that was just simply not the case. And yeah, so the bully, his mom was called, and Emmett was there when his mom was like to the bully, like says his full name, like, when you get home, I'm taking all of your electronics. You're not allowed to go out for so long. The bully's just crying the whole time. Emmett is just sitting here like, hey man, I'm sorry this happened to you, but bro, this is the straight up karma, dude. And yeah, so the bully, instead of Emmett getting a week of in-school detention, right, the bully gets a week of detention, and Emmett is set free. And moral of the story is just don't be the bully,
Click on the video
dude.
on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it. You might think that you've had the worst teacher. Maybe you received a bad grade unfairly. Maybe they hate you for no good reason. Maybe they make their tests unnecessarily hard because, I don't know, they hate their students. But let me just know that your stories have nothing on the story that graced my Instagram DMs just a couple days ago and that I am telling today. Let's call the subscriber in the story. Let's call him Steven. Anyways, right? So this all happened when Steven was in his senior year of high school. It's almost time for him to go out. It's fall of senior year. It's a pretty stressful time as this is kind of college application seasons, if that's the path you choose to go, and that was the path that Steven chose to go. This is also, if you don't know, your senior grades, if you're applying to college, can be the most important along with your junior, spring, and fall, as a lot of colleges will just kind of ignore your freshman year or just not really care about them that much. So it did not help that when on the third week of class, right, Steven, who's been turning in his homework every single day on time because he realizes how important these grades are, one day his teacher, says, hey, Steven, like, I didn't get the work. And Steven distinctly remembers doing the work, handing it in, and just doing the work and handing it in. Like, he distinctly remembers doing it, but he's thinking that it's either like, I don't know, maybe he really did forget and he's having some hallucinations or something. Maybe the teacher just misplaced it. And instead of having a big fight with the teacher, Steven says, all right, I can do it again. It's not a big deal, even though I do believe I did hand it in, but it's fine. I'll do it again. It was kind of it was not that big of an assignment. I think it was just like writing notes on a chapter they were assigned to read. So Steven does the work again, hands it in, no big problem. The next homework assignment they have, and they don't have it every day, they have it every couple days. The next assignment they have, Steven does it, he hands it in, and the teacher says, hey, Steven, I didn't receive the work. And Steven says, all right, well, this time I actually do believe like I did turn it in. This happened before, and I don't think look, there's obviously something going on that isn't just me not doing the work and turning it in. And the teacher looks at Steven and says, Steven, you didn't do the work. Do it again, or you're getting an F on that assignment. Steven is understandably not a happy camper, but at this point there's only so much he can do, and he is, next time when he does the work and he goes to turn it in, he looks at the teacher, we're just going to call him Mr. Davenport. That's the last name I use for every teacher. I'm not that creative. He looks at Mr. Davenport straight in the eyes and hands it in and says, here is my work. Like, you see me handing it in. And Mr. Davenport says, yeah, Steven, why are you acting weird? And Steven's like, okay. So I turned it in. The next day rolls around, Mr. Davenport pulls up to Steven's desk, and he's like, Steven, this is the third time in a row you've not turned in the homework. And Steven just looks at him like, yesterday, I came up to you, I looked you in the eyes, and I asked you if you noticed, like, this is the homework I'm turning in. And Mr. Davenport said, Steven, I don't recall this, like, don't lie to me, lying is a pretty, it's a big offense at the school, you could get in a ton of trouble. Redo the work. At this point, Steven was like, all right, this is not malpractice. This is not just being an idiot on either side, on either party. This is like legitimately coming from my soul, right? Like, he's doing this on purpose. This is not a joke anymore. And Steven starts to realize, because this continues,
Steven actually just does when he does his homework, he does it twice. And he keeps a copy for himself. Because 70% of the time, sometimes Mr. Davenport just accepts it. 70% of the time, Mr. Davenport asks him to do it again because he didn't hand it in or whatever. So he just makes another copy every single time he does the work. And Steven is noticing that this guy is not a good teacher. In fact, it's not just Steven that he's messing with. He's messing with a lot of other kids in the class, and they're talking to Steven about it, and Steven's telling them about his experience, and this all kind of like starts to accumulate until one day they really do believe that Mr. Davenport went way too far with his like trolling / being a jerk. So one day, a girl in Steven's class, and in Mr. Davenport's class, I guess, came in and, went up to his, kind of like to the front desk, but not to the front desk, but where he sat at his little desk. And it was, she wasn't speaking super loud, but since Steven sat kind of closer to the front of the class, he was able to overhear what happened. And also, like, most of the front row was able to overhear what happened. Basically, right, the girl explains to Mr. Davenport that recently her uncle just, like, passed away and that they were having a funeral and that she had to be gone Thursday and Friday to fly over and get to the funeral on Friday, but she'd be back Monday, and just asking what work are they going to need to do, what does she need to do to make up for this. Very reasonable request. I mean, someone in the family died and they have to go away for only 2 days. Sometimes people go away for weeks at a time when this happens, understandably, right? And Mr. Davenport looks her straight in the eyes and says, this funeral, it's very convenient that it's not on a weekend. And Steven just turns to the person next to him because he thinks to himself, I must have something in my ears. Like, my ears must have some blockage in them if that's just legitimately what I just heard. And, when Steven looks at the person next to him, this guy, let's call him Ben, his mouth is just wide open because Ben also heard what Steven just heard. Eventually, right, Mr. Davenport says, all right, fine, whatever. Like, this is what we're doing. Like, I'll give you the assignments. Like, just get them to me as soon as you come back Monday. And, yeah, just goes back and sit down. And, the girl does. At this point, Steven, he's beyond pissed at this point. Because he's been, like, his patience for Mr. Davenport, it's been zero for a while because Mr. Davenport has been intentionally trolling with them, which is pretty messed up. Because, it's senior year, this is where grades really matter, and you're making the kid do twice as much work, right? And he's been messing with other kids. And I wasn't given specific examples, but just assume other kind of like things along the lines of this messing with them because Mr. Davenport was like bored or something, right? But this kind of like goes a little bit too far because this girl, who's a pretty sensitive girl apparently, she had a family member die, and she had a request, just like, I need to go and like to the funeral. I'm going to be gone for 2 days. And the teacher says, that's suspicious that it's not on a weekend and you'd miss class. You really think she's going to fake missing 1 day of class while saying, hey, I'll do all the work to go for... It just makes no sense. Real quick, comment teacher down below. That's going to be the secret word of the day. I'll try and heart some comments that say teacher. Anyways, right, Steven has had enough. So he gathers, he talks to his other classmates. And after talking to about 2 or 3 other ones, he kind of gauges that the rest of the class is also really pissed off. So what he does, right, he goes and he gets together. He kind of like makes a big group chat on some messaging site, iMessage, Snapchat. It doesn't really matter. And more or less says, hey, so we've all had a lot of issues with Mr. Davenport. And recently after what happened to, let's call her Lucy. I don't really care, man. The girl who had like the uncle die and whatever, right? After what happened to Lucy today, I really just think we got to do something about this. Like, this teacher really just needs to be stopped. We already have enough on our plates. We're a pretty good class. And it just kind of seems like this guy is just a jerk to us because he's bored. So other people in the class who were added to the group chat start like talking and saying like, yeah, we 100% agree. Like, we need to do something about this guy. He's awful. But then a few people have actually said, hey, like, this guy's been kind of trolling with me recently. And, I reported him and the reports have really gone nowhere, or at least nothing public has happened. Like, maybe he got a talking to or something behind the scenes, but it really seems like everything that's been going on has been a slap on the wrist. You guys, audience, might be thinking, Connor, this teacher sucks, but my teacher was worse. Well, the story isn't over, man. I'm about to explain why he is actually the worst teacher of all time. So Steven was on his phone, kind of like reading the messages in the group chat and starting to feel a little bit discouraged because, he's reading the fact that other people have spoken up about this teacher before. And then he gets a private message from a girl, let's just call her Kate. I'm just thinking of random names at this point. So Kate, swipes up, or doesn't swipe up, but messages Steven privately and says, hey, like, can I have your number? Like, okay, maybe this wasn't on iMessage because she asked him for his number. This was probably on Snapchat. So she says, hey, can I have your number? I need to call you about what's going on. Something pretty personal, pretty private, but I think might be really important to what we're talking about. So Steven, who's now very interested because he's like, oh, wow, this, like, I have no idea what this could be, gives Kate his number and, receives a call from a random number, picks it up, and he said, hey, is this Kate? And Kate says, yes, this is me. And then Kate goes on to drop probably one of the biggest bombshells of all time. Steven was completely slack-jawed, emotionless, wide-eyed by the end of this story. Let me tell you what Kate told him. This girl explained to Steven that she, for the last couple months, because, she started this before the school year even began, she's been having an illegal relationship with Mr. Davenport. And she says that, she's been noticing what's been going on and, she's realized that Mr. Davenport is pretty manipulative. He's probably a psychopath or whatever. And that she's also at the same time of realizing how much of a butt, this guy is. And, all the stuff he's been doing to people, she's also realized how messed up the relationship she has with him. Because it's obviously secret. It's obviously very secret. And Mr. Davenport has been like, oh, my God, you need to keep this super secret. You can't tell anyone, which is if you're having a relationship with someone, unless you have crazy protective parents or something like that, in most cases, keeping it super private is probably not the reasons probably aren't good. And in this situation, the reasons are obviously terrible. So Kate goes on to tell Steven that she wants to turn Mr. Davenport in, more or less. And Steven, says, hey, just because he's a jerk to us, that shouldn't be your main motivation. I want to make sure that you know that I'm 100% behind you, but because you're in a messed up relationship, not because of what has been happening right now. Trust me, please. So anyways, right, Steven, hangs up the call and just kind of sits there for a second and is geez, I knew this guy was bad, but this is just beyond unacceptable. The other stuff, right, was kind of just oh, he's toying with us, oh, whatever, right? Oh, he was kind of insensitive to that girl whose uncle passed away, right? But this is straight up illegal stuff. So anyways, the next day rolls around and Steven finds Kate and he's like, hey, I'm so sorry. And Kate's like, you know what, I'm okay. I'm personally fine, but I'm afraid this will happen to someone else. We need to tell someone about it. So Steven and Kate, they kind of get together a case. Kate just has a slew of evidence from text messages and a bunch of stuff, right? They got him, basically. They got him. It was some ladies and gentlemen, we got him type evidence. There was no getting out of it. So Steven, says, Kate, you can do this alone, but I'd be very happy to do this with you if you want someone to do it with you. Kate says, hey, can you actually do this with me? I don't know if I want to go through this alone. Steven 100% obliges. He also says, hey, I'm assuming you don't want to tell everyone about this. And Kate said, right now, no, but I think at some point I wouldn't mind if we told people about this. But for now, let's just focus on getting this done. Steven 100% agreed. Dislike getting it out before they do anything would just probably make more issues happen. So they go to the principal's office. And it was a very uncomfortable conversation the entire time. The principal was kind of expecting OMG, high school drama. Nope, this is this is actually really serious illegal stuff. So all Steven knows is that Mr. Davenport did get fired from the school. There was the school was mandatory. They reported it to the police, as I think they either they felt it was mandatory or they felt a moral obligation to. Either way, they did report it further up. However, Steven has literally no idea what happened to Mr. Davenport after the fact. No idea what happened because Mr. Davenport he didn't know him outside of class, and once he was out of the school, he was Steven looked him up online on social media. Literally nothing came up about him. So Steven to this day has no idea. Now can you understand why I said this teacher was the worst teacher of all time? Now can you understand? Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it. Today we got a story of a Minecraft kid that attacks his teacher over something so incredibly stupid, your mind might melt. I'm not even kidding. Leave a like in the video to claim your free nothing, and let's call today's subscriber, let's call him Harper. Anyways, this all happened one day when Harper was in class, and there's this kid in this class, and we're just going to call him the Minecraft kid. So this all went down one day when Harper and the Minecraft kid, they were in the same history class. And for the final large assignment for this history class is they did a massive project on one kind of like aspect of history that they covered, or maybe something that they didn't even cover, but something that fit within the class, kind of within the domain of like, history. I think they were doing like, American history or something like that. So anyways, right, this assignment was like, they got like 2.5 weeks to do it. And about a week into the assignment, one day they came in and the teacher said, hey guys, like, I'm going to be splitting you into small groups. Whoever I split you into a small group with, tell them about your assignment, tell them about what you've done so far and what you plan to do, and kind of any fun facts you've learned along the way. So he starts reading off the names, and he's like Harper, and then he reads off Minecraft kid. Okay, he doesn't actually say Minecraft kid. He says the actual name, but we're calling him Minecraft Kid. So he reads off Harper, and he reads off Minecraft Kid. So Harper and Minecraft Kid, they go to some table, they sit down, and Harper starts off, and Harper, I don't know, he's maybe doing like, I don't know, U.S. involvement in World War II. And, this was in 5th grade, so like, I don't know how deep they went. I don't know how, like, it wasn't like, he didn't go that deep. And Harper was honestly pretty far along with his project. Like, he was pretty far, he got a decent amount into his project at this point. And, the Minecraft kid starts talking, and Harper, he's listening very closely, and then Harper just kind of gives him this look when he hears what the Minecraft kid says. Because the Minecraft kid said, all right, so I'm doing history. And Harper's like, I bet history, same. We're in a history class. Of course, you're doing history. And the Minecraft kid's like, I'm doing the history of the Ender Dragon. And, Harper's like, hey, bro, what? What? And then the Minecraft kid basically goes on to explain, like, for the next, 5 minutes or so, this really detailed history about the Ender Dragon from the game Minecraft, for, the two of you who don't know what the Ender Dragon is. And, the whole time Harper's, trying to, get a word in. He's like, when you're talking to someone and you're trying to, say something and you kind of open your mouth, you kind of, lean in a little bit, you maybe make a little bit of noise, but the other person is just so, focused on finishing whatever thought they have that they keep pressing through even though they notice when you're trying to talk. That was basically what was happening here. And eventually, right, when the Minecraft kid is done with this kind of rampage about the history of the Ender Dragon or whatever, Harper goes on to say, hey man, that's very cool, and it seems like personally, I like it. I think it's cool. It's obvious you did a lot of work, but do you think the teacher's gonna think that this is okay? He did say a topic we've covered or something that would fit very closely into the course. And we cover US history. I don't think the history of a video game character would fly. And the Minecraft kid looks at him and says, dude, no, it's going to be totally fine. Don't even worry about it. Thanks for looking out for me, but I'm going to be just fine. So, Harper's like, all right, bro, that's fine. That's okay. Okay, man. Okay. If that's what you want to do, that's totally fine. And sure enough, the Minecraft kid's like, all right, well, that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, skip ahead to the next day. This is where things start to get really interesting. So this is kind of the midway point. So it's officially a week into the 2-week-long project. And this is kind of a teacher check-in day where you sit down with the teacher, you explain what you've done so far, and the teacher is going to give you some guidance. And the teacher doesn't really expect to reject anyone's project idea. He's normally just there to be can you refine this? This is too broad. Or if someone's talking about Europe's influence in World War II, it'd be this is great, but can you make this more about the United States? Because that's the history we're learning about. He has no idea, he's not expecting to tell someone, hey, you can't do a project on the Ender Dragon. But anyways, right, so, everyone's kind of sitting there. It's kind of a work day, but also you're called up, for 5 minutes or so to talk with the teacher. So, Harper's sitting there, the Minecraft sitting there, the Minecraft kid is sitting there, and everyone else in the class is kind of just sitting there. People are being called up, whatever, right? And eventually Harper's called up. He explains what he's done so far. He explains what he wants to do. And honestly, Harper's only there for like 2 minutes because the teacher's like, wow, I'm really impressed. I don't really know what else to say. You're kind of killing it. And as like Harper's walking down, the teacher calls up the name of the Minecraft kid, and Harper immediately, because Harper kind of forgot about what the Minecraft kid was doing. Harper immediately remembers like, oh no, bro, oh no. Comment history down below if you want a heart on your comment. Today's secret word of the day is history. Also, make sure you've turned on notifications and join the Discord server while you're down there. So anyways, right, Harper's is sitting there remembering that the Minecraft kid is doing a huge presentation on the Ender Dragon, and he's sitting there like walking him walk up to the teacher. And Harper's just sitting there like, bro, please tell me you changed it. Please tell me you came to your senses and maybe you're just a little bit behind, but you're actually doing a topic that the teacher is going to accept. Because, like, the teacher they had was pretty chill. He was pretty cool, but like, this just didn't follow the project, right? This just wasn't the assignment. Like, you can't be coming into, like, a science class that, like, you have to do I don't know, one of those volcanoes that you make in science class, and you come in and, I don't know, you make, like, a paper airplane instead. Like, sure, that's cool, but that's just not the assignment. Like, it doesn't matter how cool the teacher is, you know? So Harper's just sitting there watching the Minecraft kid talk to the teacher, and Harper was watching the teacher's expression, and he noticed as, like, the teacher's face went from, like kind of like neutral happy to neutral unhappy to what is going on, bro? Like, what's kind of an expression of huh? And he sees the teacher open his mouth and like say something to the Minecraft kid, and he sees the Minecraft kid, like, he doesn't see his face, but he sees his body tense up a little bit. And kind of like he looks at like the Minecraft kid's fists. You know that meme like from Arthur where it's like Arthur's fist is all balled up and angry or whatever? Like, this kid's fist is like balled up and angry. This kid is not having it right now. So like the kid like starts walking back and he's like mumbling to himself. He's like this bro is like not very happy. To be fair, like, it's a week in, like, he's definitely gonna be really behind when he's forced to do a new topic, but this kid is mad, bro. He is really angry. And Harper kind of just assumed that, like, the Minecraft kid just is going to take the L and, like, do a new project, and it's probably not going to be that good because it only has half the time, or maybe it is that good, he doesn't know. But Harper has no idea what is about to come. Like, he has no idea what's about to happen. So the next day, Harper walks into class, and it just seems like a normal work day, and he thought it would have just been a normal work day, right? But that turns out not to be the case. Because he's sitting there and he notices the Minecraft kid is late to school. And he's like, oh, why is this kid late to school? And, or late to class, maybe not late to school. But 5 minutes after class had started, he hears someone at the door. He sees the door open, and it's the Minecraft kid. And he's standing there, and he's like, teacher. And the teacher turns around. You have disrespected my project and my work for the last time. And in his hand is like one of those foam diamond Minecraft swords, like the one I had and got at my 5th grade birthday party, as well as like one of these like fake plastic hard hats painted blue, but like really poorly painted blue. I think he was trying to have like a diamond helmet or something. And he's just standing there, and the teacher is completely shocked, and Harper is completely shocked, and the rest of the class is completely shocked. And they're all just kind of looking at each other like, dude, did this kid just come into class with a fake Minecraft sword and like a fake diamond helmet? And he's like, teacher, this is the last time I command you to let me do a project on the Ender Dragon. And everyone in class is just, they're just not saying anything. They don't have any reaction because any reaction was just kicked out of them by the craziness and like just insanity of what's happening right here. And the teacher just looks at the Minecraft kid calmly and says, you are not allowed to do your final American history project on the Ender Dragon. You cannot do that. And the Minecraft kid is like, very well, then you shall suffer the consequences. And he runs up to the teacher swinging his like foam floppy Minecraft sword and is like, PvP attack. And at this point, right, Harper's like, bro, am I in 5th grade or am I in, like, I don't know, the insane asylum right now? Because what is happening right in front of me? And the teacher is just bewildered, and like he starts looking at his legs, and he sees the Minecraft kid kind of kind of like slapping his legs with the fake Minecraft sword. And then the teacher snaps out of it, grabs the Minecraft kid by like the scruff of his collar, and says, "You do not do that to me or anyone in my classroom." And says, "You're coming with me." Kind of pulls him up, kind of like strongly by like the collar or whatever. And the Minecraft kid's kind of shocked, and everyone in the class is just like, oh my god, because this teacher was pretty chill. He had never snapped, but then again, this had never ever happened to him in class before. And I think if you go to school to learn how to be a teacher, they don't have a final assessment of how to deal with a crazy Minecraft kid, so he had to figure out how to do this on the spot. So sure enough, right, brought him to the principal. The kid got detention, and well, let's just say that he still was not allowed to do his final project on the Ender Dragon. Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it. Today we got a story time of a teacher that did something seriously like unbelievable. Like I had to pause a few times while reading to just collect myself. But anyways, leave a like in the video to claim your free nothing, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber Brian, and Brian is in 11th grade. So anyways, right, one day, Brian was just chilling with one of his friends, and his friends was like, bro, get on Tinder, bro. If you don't know, Tinder's like a dating profile. Dude, I've been on Tinder. It has not gone well. I'm not going to tell you how bad it's gone, but bro, I'm just not winning out here. God damn. But anyways, right, so, Brian's like, all right, bro, like, sure, I'll download Tinder. It can be kind of fun, whatever. So Brian downloads Tinder. He sets up his profile. And he starts swiping. And then he sees this girl, and he's like, all right, she's looking pretty good, man. Hey, what can I say? She's looking pretty good, dude. But anyways, right, so, he swipes right on her. And within like 5 minutes, he gets a notification that, he got a match. And who did he match with? Yeah, he matched with this girl. And his friend was like, hey, let's go. So anyways, right, Brian decides to hit up this girl, as one does. And the girl starts talking with him. And Brian and this girl for the next 2 weeks are just talking every single day. They're talking like all the time. By the way, you might be thinking, Connor, did you title this story correctly? Like this says like a teacher did something disgusting or something criminal. Just wait. Just wait. This story is so foul, bro. I swear to God. But anyways, right, so he's talking to this girl, and, this girl and him are talking every single day, and they're not just like, hey, how's it going, bro, or anything. Like, it's not just like basic, oh, I heard the weather in, I don't know, France today is pretty nice. It's like legitimate conversations, dude. So anyways, right, they're having conversation, they're talking with each other, and honestly, Liam, or Brian, I must call him Liam, that was the name for another story, but Brian is like, I actually feel like I'm connecting with this girl, like, I'm gonna ask her out. And the friend is like, damn, dude, like, I didn't expect, like, this to come from this. Congratulations, man. So anyways, Brian is like, hey, like, we've been talking for a while, I think it'd be cool if we went on a date. And, the girl was like, yes, like, I'd love to do that. I really would. Where do you want to go? And they decided to meet at their local burger joint shop, whatever. Just think of some kind of like, I don't know, some kind of like shake burger place with like a lot of seats or whatever. So nothing too fancy. They just wanted to meet and talk and just chill or whatever. So anyways, right, the day that they decided to do that eventually comes, and Brian, he drives over, and beforehand his friend's like, hey, man, congrats, bro. Like, I thought we were just gonna go on Tinder for the laughs, but you went on Tinder and you actually found someone. Like, respect for that. Congratulations, whatever. And the friend's like, yeah, I'm pretty hyped about it. So the friend gets in his car, drives over like 15 minutes early because he wanted to be in there first. He wanted to make sure he got a seat because it was like a burger place. So no reservations. He wanted to make sure it wasn't too busy or whatever. He goes there, there's plenty of seats or whatever. He says, hey, can I have a table for two? Waiter says, yeah, of course. He sits down, and he's like 10 minutes to kill, and he's just kind of waiting there, and he's pretty nervous, man. Like, he's definitely feeling those butterflies. Anyways, right, so Brian is waiting there, and he actually gets a text, because they're no longer texting on Tinder. They brought it to iMessage, and he gets a text saying, hey, I'm 5 minutes away. So at this point, right, Brian is really starting to be like, oh my God, I'm actually going to, like, see her in person. Like, he has seen photos of her, but, like, the photos of her weren't super good. Like they were kind of low quality, but she looked like, she was good looking. Like it was very clear at that point. But, Brian wanted to FaceTime one of these times before, but for some reason she was like, oh, I'm too tired. I don't know. Like she was like weirdly ducking it. But the thing is, right, Brian didn't really see any other red flags, so he didn't really think much of it. Oh man, bro, he's gonna regret not thinking much of that. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm not gonna try and spoil anything, but we're just gonna go into it, man. We're just gonna go into it. So anyways, right, Brian is sitting there, right? Brian is just sitting there waiting for his Tinder date to show up. And he sees, a teacher come in from his school. Like this isn't a teacher that he personally has, but he was like, oh, that's Miss Davenport. That's like the name I always use for teachers. So it's almost like the Ben of the channel, but it's less of a meme. Yeah, so he's like, oh, there's Miss Davenport. Like she teaches, I don't know, geometry for, the other 11th graders. I'm in algebra 2, so like I don't have her. He's like, oh, what is she doing at a burger joint? Like, I guess she's just coming to like get something. And he's looking at Miss Davenport, and she seems to be looking around. So he's like, oh, Miss Davenport probably like, I don't know, how's a date or something. Like, oh, I guess me too. Haha. Boy, did that line not age well. God damn, did that line not age well? My God. Oh no. And yeah, so Brian is sitting there waiting for his date, and he realizes that it is time. It is the time she's coming. And he sees Miss Davenport walking over, and Brian's like, bro, my date is coming. Like, I don't know if I want to talk to you. Like, sure, you're at my school. And it's like, she's probably, like, Brian is thinking, oh, Miss Davenport's coming over to say, oh, you go to my school. So funny seeing each other here. And Brian is like, any other time, I'd be happy to do this, but I'm looking out for my date, and I'm kind of stressed. But Miss Davenport keeps walking over, so Brian's like, all right, fine. I'm going to have a quick conversation, and then I'm going to look for my date, because she is probably either getting out of her car right now. She might even be in the dining facility right now. That line also did not age well. So anyways, right, Brian is like watching as Miss Davenport comes over to his table. But the thing is, right, instead of like standing at the table, next to the table, above him, whatever, right, maybe even a little farther away, Miss Davenport sits down, and he's kind of like, hey, yo, like, I'm expecting someone. Like, you can't just be sitting down at this table. And Miss Davenport just looks at him. And Brian is like, okay, hello? Are you going to speak, bro? Are you going to speak? Like, okay? And Miss Davenport says, Brian. In this kind of voice that, like, Brian was starting to get, like, a little weirded out. He's like, dude, what? And Miss Davenport's like, Brian, I don't know how you're going to take this, but I am Sarah. By the way, we're just going to call the Tinder date Sarah. And at this point, Brian is in pure shock. He's in pure shock at this point because, Miss Davenport would not know who this Sarah person is unless she was like catfishing as Sarah on Tinder. And Brian started to realize that the person he had been talking to for the last 2 weeks was not Sarah, some like high school girl. It was Miss Davenport, the geometry teacher at his school, dude. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, the secret word of the day is teacher, so comment teacher down below. I'll heart as many as I can. If I don't heart yours, don't take it personally, as always. Also, while you're down there, make sure notifications are turned on. Anyways, let's go back to the story. So at this point, Brian is just sitting there in disbelief. He has not said a word yet. And Miss Davenport goes on to say, I know I'm not what I looked like in my photos. I was too worried to put my actual face on there. And in Brian's mind, he's like, no S, Sherlock. Like, yeah, bro, I understand why, like, you don't want to put your actual face on there. You're the teacher, dude. But anyway, she goes on to say, and honestly, like, I guess I was just bored and was really wrong. But, after we matched and we started talking, I just felt this kind of spark. I haven't felt this, like, with anyone before. And Brian is like, what the fuck? What? Dude. Right, so understandably, Brian, like, the first thing he says, he's like, this is so weird. And Miss Davenport's like, I know, I'm so sorry. It's just like, I've never talked to someone like that and had that kind of, like, feeling before. Like, I just had to come. And Brian's like, I just can't do this, right? So Brian gets up and he just leaves, which, like, honestly was probably, like, the best response. Like, if I was in that position, I probably would have done the same. Because, dude, that is just way too weird. Yeah, Miss Davenport isn't like, 60 or something. But dude, she's like 30 something, and it doesn't even matter if she's 21. She's a teacher at that school. If you're a teacher, you can't be doing that with any of the students, bro. Any of them, dude. Like, that's crazy. So anyways, right, Brian gets in his car and immediately calls up his friend. And he's like, dude, you will not believe what just happened. And Brian basically goes on to explain what I just explained in the story that you just heard. By the end of it, his friend was like, oh my God. Oh my God, dude, that's so messed up. And his friend is like, you got to report that to the school. And, Brian was sitting there for a second. He's like, yeah, man, you're actually right. Like, I like personally am okay. Like, this is messed up, but I'm going to be okay, right? But, like, what's stopping her from doing something like this with another student, right? Like, that would be, like, I just can't sit by and let that happen. So, yeah, sure enough, right, it was like a Sunday. That's why they, were able to go out in the middle of the day. By Monday morning, Brian got to school bright and early, went to the principal's office, told them everything, showed them the proof. And yeah, by the end of the day, Ms. Davenport received a message basically saying to come to the staff or whatever. And the staff promptly fired her and reported the whole thing to like the police department. Brian has no idea what the police department did with it, but Brian does know that Ms. Davenport took the L and got fired. Subscribe if you haven't already, then click on one of the 4 videos on screen right now, or click on one of my other videos in the recommended. Today we got a story time of a spoiled kid who, when the teacher failed him on a test, the kid kind of went insane and then went ahead and kind of destroyed the teacher's car and assumed that, he wouldn't get in trouble. But yeah, obviously the guy got in a lot of trouble. But anyways, this story is probably one of the craziest ones I've heard in a while, so I thought I had to tell it on the channel. So yeah, sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. So the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Theo. I got that name from the comment section, so if you want me to use your name, your friend's name, your dog's name, really doesn't matter who, but if you want me to use a name in a video or in a future video, leave it in a comment down below. I really do try and use as many names as I can from the comment section. Anyways, right, so Theo, the subscriber who sent in today's story, he told me about a story that happened to him back when he was in 4th grade. Anyways, right, so Theo is just in, his 4th grade class, and in his class, there's another kid who we're just going to call the spoiled kid. Like, I don't even feel like giving this guy a name. We're just going to call him spoiled kid. Like, when there's a Minecraft kid, we just call him Minecraft kid. Anyways, right, so the spoiled kid was kind of newer to the school, but he wasn't super new. He got there like a year ago, but otherwise, other than that, like, he didn't know a lot of people. And the reason why he didn't know a lot of people wasn't necessarily because he was like that new. It was because he was kind of like a massive jerk. And, when you're a massive jerk, you're probably not going to get that many friends. It just is what it is. But anyways, right, there was a pretty massive test coming up for the class, or at least it was massive in the sense that it was like the big assignment, or it was a really big assignment that they had. And by assignment, it was a test, it wasn't a project, so you had to study a lot for it. But the spoiled kid wasn't just spoiled, he was also a little bit delusional, and he kind of thought that like, oh, no shot he needed to study for this test. And he was telling everyone about how he was just gifted, and like legitimately a couple days before the test, the teacher was like, all right guys, so we're gonna divide you up into study groups so you can talk to each other just so you have more preparation for this test. Honestly, the teacher wanted it to be so the kids would be over prepared, they would all do well, and they'd all feel really good. And so, he was kind of having all these study groups. He was assigning studying for homework, specific projects to get them ready. And today they kind of had study groups as the daily class activity. And the teacher decided to randomly select them into groups so you wouldn't just go with your friend and talk with your friend and not actually do the assignment. So the teacher randomly selected them up or split them up. And sure enough, right, Theo, the subscriber, and the spoiled kid and a couple of other people were assigned to be in a group. And so, they were given a sheet of questions and they talked a little bit about the questions. And the idea was you had to go through and talk with your group about how you would respond. This class was not a math class where there's one answer or something. It was more, I think it was either a history class or, I don't know, a geography. I think it was more history-esque. I wasn't actually told what class it was, but I do know from other details in the story that it wasn't a science or technology or math-based class. It was more of something that you could give more general answers to. But anyways, right, when they sat down in the groups and they were given some questions about like topics they've covered and how they would answer them, Theo went around and he was like saying what he wanted to say, and then he had his friends say, like, not his friends, but the other people in the group, they said what they wanted to say. And when it eventually came around to the spoiled kid was like, I'm not even gonna like bother answering. And they're like, bro, what do you mean? And he's like, I've not been studying. And they're like, dude, what do you mean? The test is in a couple days. Like, that's really important. And he's like, I'm just going to be built different, bro. Like, when the test comes, and I'm just going to I'm going to crush it, dude. Like, you don't even understand how well I'm going to do. And they're all just like, man, like, I understand that, like, you can kind of, like, conceptually get your way to some of these questions, but there's still a lot of information you need to base your answers off of. Like, you can't just, like, walk into this test without studying. And the spoiled kid was like, you know what? Maybe you guys can't do that. Maybe you guys can't just walk into this test without spending hours and hours of cramming useless information into your brain. But I'm just built different, man. I'm just different. Like, I don't know about you, but like when I was born, I was just like significantly smarter, and I still am significantly smarter. I feel bad for you guys that you have to spend all your free time studying for this class. All I can say is like, I don't, and I'm going to do at least twice as well as all of you. They kind of looked at each other because they're like, twice as well? That means you're expecting that we get a 50 or less, because otherwise it's impossible. So they all kind of look at this kid like, bro, what are you even talking about? Like, all right, dude, sure, fair enough. Like, you're just built different, whatever, man. Like, that's fine. In this point, right, Theo and the other people in his group kind of knew that this kid was a little bit delusional, a little bit spoiled, like, had never been told no in his life. So they were kind of like ready for this. They kind of were just like aware that this was something that happened. So they're like, all right, whatever, man. Like, that's fine. That's fair enough. And I mean, obviously they thought to themselves, like, this kid's insane. Like, he's going to fail. And if he doesn't fail, he's at least not going to do twice as well as us, because like that's impossible unless we get like a 30% or something. But yeah, so anyways, they just kind of like went on like asking questions to each other, and they kind of just ignored the spoiled kid because they know that like if they asked him a question, he would go on the same rampage about how he doesn't need this practice, he doesn't need this study because he's built different, and that he feels bad for them because they have to study because they're not inherently as genius and clever and 1000 IQ as he is. And yeah, so anyways, the next couple days roll around and it's the day of the test. And Theo, the subscriber, had been studying quite a bit the days before, and he felt really prepared. And on the day of the test, he went in there and he started working. He sat down, the teacher went around, plopped down the test on his desk, and he was like a little nervous, but as he was getting into the questions, he was like, oh, I remember this from the reading. Oh, I remember this from like studying it. Oh, I remember this from like reviewing it and doing similar questions. Like, no problem at all. And he was about halfway through the test when he looked up, and sure enough, right, the spoiled kid was walking up to the front of the room with the test already done. And for a second, right, Theo was thought like, wait a minute, was this kid not joking? Is this kid like actually like really just inherently smart and didn't study? Because right, a lot of times when someone finishes a test really early, they are so well practiced, or they just know the questions so well that they are just able to blow through them past the normal speed of the average person in the class. However, right, that's not always the case, as sometimes in classes that I didn't do well in, I was still one of the first people to finish my tests, because I just was like, I went through the I can't explain it really. I was just fast going through the questions. And it's not as if I was like rushing through them. I was just happened to be fast. It didn't mean that I was right. It just meant I happened to be fast. But either way, right, so, Theo's sitting there kind of like, wow, maybe the spoiled kid is actually really smart because he did just finish the test. And he's like, I guess he was right. And Theo was sitting there like, no way. He must have been studying, right? He must have just been lying about not studying. And then he was sitting there thinking to himself, and he's like, wait a minute, what if the spoiled kid actually is just really that smart? What if he's just able to figure this stuff out and has like a massive database in his brain with some complex AI that's able to problem solve from information he doesn't even know? And he's just sitting there for a second, kind of just like caught off guard by what happened. And then he just kind of snaps out of it, get back to doing the test, and finishes it and feels really good about it. By the way, comment test if you made it this far into the video, T-E-S-T. I'll be trying to heart a bunch of those comments. You can even comment it more than one time if you'd like. But yeah, don't feel bad if I don't heart it. I'm doing a lot of stuff right now, and I barely can heart any comments. But the comments I will heart will be the ones that say the secret word, which is test. Anyways, right, so a couple days pass, and they're sitting in class, and the teacher's like, all right, guys, I finally finished grading all your tests. I'm going to come around, hand it back to you. Most of you guys did really, really well. This is a really good show out for you guys. I think we're going to plan a class party because the average was so good. And he was just pretty enthusiastic about it. However, keyword there, most of you guys did really, really well. The average was very, very good. Right, that doesn't mean everyone did very, very well, and you'll figure out in a second what I mean by that. So he's handing around the tests, and today they don't have unassigned assigned seats, and they also don't have assigned seats. They kind of just sit wherever every single day. So today Theo happened to be sitting behind the spoiled kid, so he'd have a pretty good view of exactly what the spoiled kid got on his test. And Theo did this intentionally because he was just simply really curious. When the teacher was handing back the test, sure enough, right, he hands back tests, the Theo gets his test, and he looks at it quickly, and it's B. And he's like, all right, I'm happy with that. This was a hard test. It was B plus or something. He's like, all right, that's very solid. I'm happy with that. And then the spoiled kid gets his test back, and he looks at it as the spoiled kid turns around the piece of paper, and it says 58%. And the spoiled kid just flips it over quickly. And at this point, Theo's like, all right, that makes me feel better, man. This kid didn't even try, and, when you don't try, man, you're probably not going to get the best result. It is what it is. Anyways, right, the spoiled kid doesn't take it this well. Such a blatant attack to his ego and his pride is not going to go down quietly. However, it doesn't go down that day. There's been some story times I've done where, spoiled kids have gotten their tests back and they've, fought the teacher in class or something, or called them out or something in class and have had complete mental breakdowns. That doesn't happen till later. That happens at a much later point, and it's a much more interesting turn of events. And this is because the next day, they come into class, and, Theo sits down, and the spoiled kid is nowhere to be seen. And it's very, very strange, and it's very, very, it's weird, because no one is ever really late to class in 4th grade, because it's 4th grade, bro. And eventually, right, 10 minutes later, the spoiled kid comes in with this big grin on his face. And the teacher is like, hey, spoiled kid, doesn't, says his actual name, of course, but he's like, hey, spoiled kid, where have you been? You're 10 minutes late to class. The spoiled kid says, about that. And since he kind of has the attention of everyone, he begins his monologue. And he's like, I know that I was cheated out of an A on that test. And the teacher looks at him kind of bro, you failed. All your answers were so wrong. But he's like, I know I was cheated out of an A on that test. And I believe in biblical justice, an eye for an eye, as some say. And everyone's kind of what is this kid on? What is going on right now? What is even happening? And he's like, teacher, you betrayed me. You did me wrong. So I will bestow a wrong upon you. And he's trying to have this whole, this intimidating monologue or whatever. And the teacher's like, spoiled kid, you got a bad grade on that test because you obviously didn't study. It's pretty clear. I don't know what to say. And he's like, doesn't matter what you have to say. The punishment has already happened. And the teacher's like, what are you talking about? He's like, go outside and check your car. At this point, the teacher's a little concerned. He's like, what did he do? Did he write something on it? Did he leave a note saying, you suck, man, or something? I don't know. The teacher was like, okay, sure, I'll go outside and check my car. So everyone's just sitting there waiting as the teacher leaves, because the teacher's actually a little bit concerned. He's like, all right, got classes, stay here. I'll be back in a minute. Don't worry about it. The teacher leaves, and the spoiled kid is standing there with a big smile on his face. And eventually, right, the teacher walks back into the class and is like, what did you do to my car? That's unacceptable. That's insane. Go to the principal's office right now. Grabs him by the gruff of his shirt and yanks him out of there. And everyone's just like, oh my God, what just happened? And sure enough, right, everyone in the class is kind of looking at each other oh my God, what happened? And the thing is, right, Theo was a good kid. Theo was one who kind of stood by the rules. But the thing is, right, the teacher and the spoiled kid left the class because the teacher like yanked him out of there. And Theo was so incredibly curious to know like what actually happened that Theo was like, guys, something obviously happened to the teacher's car. I kind of want to go check it out. And another kid in his class, we're going to call him Ben because that's placeholder name for anytime I need a name, that's the placeholder. So Ben was like, hey man, I'll go with you. And Theo was like, all right, bet. So Ben and this kid, or Theo and Ben, right? They go outside, they kind of sneak out of the classroom as, you know, the spoiled kid is being chewed out. And they're just going to say that they both went to the bathroom if the teacher asks and comes back, right? Because there are 2 bathrooms. You know, multiple people can go to the bathroom when this happens. And if the teacher's mad, like, oh, you shouldn't have left when I wasn't there, they'll just be like, oh, sorry, we weren't aware. Can't get in that much trouble. So they go out and they go outside and they look at the teacher's lot. And they're very careful because they are aware that, like, I don't know, the principal or the teacher or whatever could return to his car. And they can see it from far enough away, right? Essentially, what the spoiled kid did was he took one of his parents' keys, probably a spare key to the house or something, and he went ahead and keyed the car. And if you don't know what that means, it means you take a key and you scrape into the side of the car, like you either like scrape a line down it or something. But the spoiled kid keyed into the car, like, this is my revenge, and then he signed it with his name. We'll just say Bob or whatever, like, this is my revenge dash Bob or whatever, in huge letters across the side of the teacher's car. At this point, right, they were just like completely floored because this kid was so mad that since he didn't study, he was punished with a bad grade. Like, oh my God, man, like, wow, no one saw that coming. Subscribe if you haven't already. Now go watch another video. There's some on the screen, some that recommended. Go watch one. You'll make me very happy. Bye. Today we have a story of a Minecraft kid who actually fights his teacher. It's probably one of the cringiest / funniest stories I've heard in a long time. So sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call a subscriber who sent in today's story. We're going to call him Ben because it's kind of been a meme on the channel for at least a couple months to call like the subscriber or people in the story Ben. So I'm bringing that back for today. But normally I get names from the comment section. So leave a comment down below of a name you'd like. It can be your name, your friend's name. Doesn't even matter. Leave a name down below and I'll probably use it. Anyways, right, so Ben, he was in school and there's another kid. And as you can already tell by the title, yes, this was the Minecraft kid. He's back. Nah, it's a different Minecraft kid. Some people actually think that all these videos are about the same guy, and if that was the case, that would be a very, very interesting guy. That's all I can say. Anyways, right, so Ben was in class with the Minecraft kid. And anyways, the Minecraft kid was kind of known for playing Minecraft in class. He kind of thought he was going to go to, like, the major leagues of Minecraft, which no one was able to convince that doesn't exist, because it just simply doesn't exist. There's just, like, no major league gaming or something or you just can't really go professional to play Minecraft, at least not to my knowledge, or I really just don't think that's possible. But anyways, right, so, you know, I mean, this guy was always practicing Minecraft or playing Minecraft or doing Bed Wars or whatever in class as he sat kind of towards the back of the class and was able to cover up his movement with his, like, mouse pad or whatever. I don't totally understand the logistics of how you could be able to get away with that. All I can say is I know I'd never be able to get away. I don't think I'd ever try this, but I don't think I'd ever be able to get away with something like this. I don't see how it's possible, but apparently it was for at least a very long time. So the Minecraft kid would never be actually paying attention in class. And this class wasn't super easy. I mean, it wasn't, like, conceptually that hard to remember or figure out, but it was a lot of memorization, and paying attention was pretty essential to do well in the tests. And Ben and his friends would always pay attention to at least a decent extent, and if one of the days, like, Ben didn't pay attention, his friend would tell him what he missed, and vice versa, right? But there was a bit of a problem. The Minecraft kid would always sit around either near Ben, one of Ben's friends, and, you know, the thing was, he wasn't paying attention in class, which, dude, I get it, sometimes it's hard. Trust me, I've been there, I am there currently all the time, but sometimes you just gotta do it, sometimes you just gotta pay attention, and if you're not gonna pay attention, man, like, you gotta pay the consequences. But the Minecraft kid wanted the best of both worlds, because in class, he'd never pay a lick of attention, he'd always be on his computer, somehow getting away with playing, like, full-on Minecraft PvP Bed Wars type stuff. No idea how he got away with that, but I think he somehow figured out a method that it wasn't loud, it wasn't that obvious, but I think if like the teacher was to come over and see him, then it would be pretty obvious, which that's for a little later in the story. But for that reason, right, the Minecraft kid during the tests would always very blatantly cheat off of Ben or one of his other friends. Which, like, the first time, Ben didn't really care. Since they had a quiz every single week and they had a test every couple weeks, they were assessed pretty frequently. And, like, the first quiz, Ben noticed the Minecraft kid was kind of looking over to see what he's doing. And honestly, bro, like, Ben was kind of chill. He just didn't really care. He's just like, oh, like, all right, whatever, right? But it was, like, over time, every single quiz, every single time, every single test, he would just notice the Minecraft kid would sit next to either him or his friend and would so blatantly look over and cheat. But the teacher really was never really paying that close attention when kids were taking the test. He was always either looking at his computer, maybe getting ready for more material, maybe, I don't know, setting up an installer for mining Bitcoin. I'm bringing the joke back, baby. You just can't stop me, man. You just can't stop me. I know you want to stop me. You just can't stop me, bro. It's impossible. Anyways, though, right? But Ben and his friend was starting to get a little frustrated. Because Ben was like, hey, man, like, I've noticed the Minecraft kid has been cheating off of you, and he's been cheating off of me for, like, months now, every single week, and it's kind of annoying. Because, like, the thing was, right, if it was, like, a one-time thing, while I don't ever condone it, like, at least Ben didn't care, and I think I personally wouldn't care, too. I'd be like, bro, really? But I wouldn't make a stink out of it. But every single week, right, every single week, you study hard, you pay attention, and someone just, like, exactly copies your answers for everything. I think the Minecraft kid might have changed one or two answers so he wouldn't get caught. But it was just obviously so blatant. And yeah, you know what? Ben and his friend are kind of upset because they're like, you know what? We have to pay attention. We have to do all this work. We have to study hard. Well, the Minecraft kid is able to have fun in class every single day, and his grades simply aren't affected, and they're just like, damn, bro, like, that's not cool. So the first idea they have is like, all right, let's actually confront this kid, right? So one of these days, Ben and his friends say, hey, Minecraft kid, can we talk to you at recess? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. They're not really they're not friendly. They aren't enemies. They're just, like, not that acquainted. Like, they're just not, like, good acquaintances. So it's a little awkward to do. But they just kind of, like, told him, like, hey, man, like, we noticed that, like, you kind of, like, very blatantly, like, copy off of our tests. And, like, if you do that occasionally, we really don't care. But can you just not do that every single day? And the Minecraft kid got really defensive. He's like, cheat? Guys, I would never cheat. I have a very strong code of conduct. I would never cheat. That goes against my morals. And they kind of just look at him because it was very clear. Like, they saw him personally. They saw him looking at, like, the other person. It was very clear that he looked over, wrote something down, looked back at his paper, then looked back over, wrote something down, looked down at his paper. Like, they even checked his answers. Like, they would glance over at the end of the test, and they would be exactly the same except for, like, one that he obviously changed just to keep him safe. And he'd always get that one wrong because, you know, it wasn't the right answer because they chose the right answer. And they kind of just looked at him like, okay. And, you know, they didn't get that much from that interaction, but they kind of thought that, like, confronting the guy, being very open about it, and even though he said, oh, I would never do that, I don't know what you're talking about, maybe now that would kind of, like, scare him off, right? Because like, he knows that they're onto him, and maybe that'd be enough for him to not do it, or at least not do it so often / blatantly. So Ben and, you know, his friend are like, all right, well, maybe that will work, dude. Like, maybe that'll be enough to get the kid to, like, I don't know, pay attention in class, or at least at a minimum, just not cheat off of everything we do. But sure enough, right, in class, he's still playing Minecraft somehow. He's, like, training to be a professional or whatever, or something, I don't know. And yeah, sure enough, the next time a test comes around, the Minecraft kid, once again, is just very clearly looking at Ben. Looks over at Ben's answer, writes it down, and even at one point, right, Ben makes direct eye contact with him as he's about to cheat off another answer. And the Minecraft kid, instead of being like, oh my god, like I'm caught, or like looking down, he just looks at him, gives him like a wave, and then looks down at his paper. And Ben is just completely like, dude, like, are you serious? Like, you even just acknowledge that you're cheating. It's just like, you're cheating, you're doing it blatantly, and when we confront you, you're not even saying, hey man, like, like, can I, like, pay you $5 to, like, keep cheating off your answers? I don't know if that'd be a great solution, guys. I'm not saying that's the right answer here. But Ben was like, bro, you lied to my face. You're going to use my answers, and you smile at me? We're not boys. You can't be doing that. What? And you might be thinking, how on earth does he actually fight the teacher at this point from what's happening? Trust me, it gets really crazy really fast. But before that, comment teacher down below. I'm going to try and heart a bunch of those comments, maybe even comment teacher like 2, 3, 4, 5 times or something. I can't guarantee that I'll heart all the comments, but I'll do my best to get at least a good handful. And also, while you're down there, first line of the description, or one of the lines in the description, is my second channel. I have been posting a decent amount there. So if you want to check out some other kind of more variety content, go ahead and make sure to subscribe to that channel. But anyways, right, back to the story. And the Minecraft kid is still cheating. So Ben and his friend kind of like go up to each other after that class, and it's like, dude, Ben was like, dude, he still was cheating off of me. And the friend's like, yeah, bro, I watched. It's very obvious. And Ben's like, I even made eye contact with him. I thought he was going to look down all embarrassed or whatever. But dude, he looked at me, smiled, and waved. He thinks we're boys. We're not boys. So they kind of came up with a plan, and they're like, you know what, Minecraft Kid is going to be playing Minecraft in class. He keeps on getting away with it. You know what? I have an idea. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to tell you what happens, and you'll figure out the plan as we go along. But anyways, right, next day rolls around, and Ben is sitting next to the Minecraft Kid. And once again, the Minecraft Kid just gets into his Minecraft game, is playing as usual, playing as always. No one knows how he gets away with playing in class, but when the Minecraft Kid starts playing, he kind of gets really into it, and it's as if, like, the surroundings kind of fade away. Because in the beginning, he was a lot more, like, listening to what's happening. He, like, closed down his game several times if he thought the teacher might have been paying attention. But he's been doing this for weeks, if not months now. So he's feeling pretty confident, and his confidence has led him to be cocky. And cocky enough that he just, like, turns on his Minecraft game, tunes out the rest of the class, and by the time the bell rings, he just shuts off his game and leaves. Like, he's at that point, right? And Ben kind of realizes this, or at least he's betting on that being the case. So anyways, right, the next day in class, you know, they're talking about something, whatever, the teacher's talking, and Ben's like, oh, I have a question on the homework. So the teacher's like, all right, Ben, like, what's up? And at this point, right, Ben is sitting right next to the Minecraft Kid, and Ben's like, oh, it's like, can you help me, like, I have a very specific question. I don't think it'd be important for the whole class to hear. Can you come here to help me with it? And the teacher's like, yeah, sure, like, whatever. Because, like, people were kind of working on some assignments or readings or whatever anyways, so it wasn't like he was stopping class to individually help Ben. He was just kind of, like, answering general questions. And if the question didn't help everyone, sometimes this is better to have the teacher talk to you one-on-one. So the teacher's walking over towards Ben, and the Minecraft Kid has no idea that, you know, Ben raised his hand, asked a question, and or the teacher was coming over. He was just so engrossed in his game and so confident and cocky that he would never get caught that he wasn't even paying any attention. Like, all like the sound around him kind of faded away. And sure enough, the teacher walked down and was kind of paying attention towards Ben. But as he walked closer to Ben, he was able to get at like an angle where he could see exactly what the Minecraft Kid was doing. And the teacher was like, oh, is he like trying to open up a file to do work? And he like turns the corner a little bit or whatever. He gets into a position, he gets into an angle where he can see exactly what the Minecraft Kid is doing, and he realizes he's been playing Minecraft. And the teacher comes to the conclusion, this kid's been playing Minecraft the whole time, and there's a good chance he's been playing Minecraft not just today, not just the day before, but for a very, very long time. So the teacher walks up to the Minecraft Kid and says, what are you doing in my class? And takes his hand and shuts the screen of the game. So it was like a laptop. It wasn't like a desktop or anything. He wasn't wheeling in a full-on desktop or something. But, you know, the teacher goes in, shuts the screen of the game. So obviously that kind of either pauses it or quits him out of the game. But, you know, it's a multiplayer game, so you can't pause a multiplayer game. Mom, I can't pause a multiplayer game. And he looks up. He's like, dude, what the heck, bro? I was in the middle of a game. You can't just do that. And the teacher's like, don't talk back to me. Like, I just caught you playing games in class. That's, like, super against the rules here. You can't be doing that. And the Minecraft Kid stands up and says, well, yeah, you know what? I'm training to be a professional. I'm putting in the grind. I'm putting in the grind every day. I'm going to make so much more money than you or anyone else here who goes to the school. I shouldn't even be coming to class. I just have to. And the teacher looks at him because, like, this kid never really spoke up. So the teacher was a little bit, like, taken aback. And the teacher's like, well, I'm confiscating this till the end of class, and grabs the computer. Yeah, you might say that grabbing the computer might have been an overreaction. You can also say there's a perfectly fair reaction. Either way, it paled in comparison to the reaction from the Minecraft kid. And the Minecraft kid's like, give it back, and punches the teacher in the nose. Like, straight up is like, bah! At this point, right, the teacher just, like, stands there in shock. The Minecraft kid didn't, like, knock him out or push him back or anything, but he did, like, some solid damage to them. I mean, he didn't, like, break anything, but it was, like, a full-on punch. It was, like, legit. It wasn't, like, a little tap. It wasn't, like, a whiff or anything. It was, like, a full-on, legitimate whap. At this point, right, the Minecraft kid, all, like, the, all the energy he had, all that energy he had against the teacher, being all like, oh, like, you can't do that to me, like, I'm trying to be a professional, all that disappeared instantly as he hit him in the face, because he realized that he messed up big. And the teacher just looks at him, and at this point, the whole class have been watching this whole thing going down, and after the Minecraft kid punched the teacher in the nose, they all kind of gasped, and it went so silent, because they're just like, they've never seen anything like this happen before. The Minecraft kid's like, sorry, it was a reflection, it wasn't on purpose, bro, like, that's on me, He was, like, really trying to backtrack super hard, because he knew that he was in such big trouble, and the teacher just looks at him, and just points towards the door. He's like, get out of my class. Go down to the principal's office. I'll be following you there in like 1 minute. Don't try and get out of this. Don't tell the principal anything that isn't happening, because I'll tell him if you don't. And the Minecraft kid's like, yes, sir. And gets up and leaves. Because he was like, all right, I need to minimize how bad this is. And at this point, right, Ben looks at his friend. Because, like, Ben just wanted the Minecraft kid to get a little bit of karma for cheating off of him every day in class. He had no idea that it was going to accelerate this crazy, bro. And Ben just looks at his friend with this look of like, well, that was unexpected. Subscribe if you haven't already, and now go watch another video. There's some on screen, something recommended. Go watch one. It'll make me very happy. In today's story, the substitute teacher, they forgot to clear their search history, and it got pretty bad. It actually got extremely awkward. Anyways, enjoy the story. Anyways, right, so the subscriber who sent this in, let's just call him PJ, right? You know, I know a lot of really good PJs, so this guy's a good kid too. I can just tell from his like profile pic. He's a good kid. Anyways, right, so PJ, we'll call him PJ. He sent me this story of when, you know, he was in history class, right? You know, and, you know, it was just a normal day in history class, or so he thought, right? He gets to history class, gets there a couple minutes early, you know, he sits next to his friend. He says having a pretty good time. I mean, not really. He's about to go to history class. I mean, how exciting can that be? Unless it's, I don't know, history of Bitcoin mining or something. I don't know, man. Anyways, right, so he's sitting in history class, and he's waiting for the teacher, and the teacher normally is there, like, before most of the students. I mean, that's normally the case with a lot of classes. Teacher just happens to be there either on time or a little bit before. I've definitely had classes where teachers were, like, the last ones there, but, like, unlucky for us, I guess, like, just tough. Like, deal with it. But anyways, right, so, you know, PJ, he's sitting there, and, you know, he's with his friends, and he's just like, oh, I mean, where's the teacher? Like, I've been sitting here for a while. I'm just a little confused. And, yeah, so, you know, the teacher never shows, and it's like 2 or 3 minutes later, and some random guy walks in, and this is like a younger guy. Let's say he's probably like 24, 25, probably fresh out of grad school or something for, I don't know, being a teacher. I don't really know how the education system works when it comes to being a teacher, man. That's not my forte. If you want to ask me about the education system when it comes to like specializing in Bitcoin, okay, I'm gonna shut up now. Anyway, so the substitute teacher walks in and says, "Hey guys, I'm Mr. Let's call him Mr. Steven. Yeah, Mr. Steven." Anyways, right, Mr. Steven, he comes in, and he's just like, hey, guys, like, I'm going to be your substitute teacher. Your teacher's sick today, so, you know, I'm coming in for, like, you know, the class. And I'm looking at the class notes, and it looks like we have a movie to watch. You know, that's a good feeling, right? When you're in class, and it's like, okay, it's movie time. Even if the movie kind of sucks, like, the movie isn't that great, for some reason, it is always so much better than actually doing, like, actual work. Even if for some reason the actual work might have been, like, legitimately more entertaining, for some reason it actually really doesn't matter. As long as you're watching a movie, it's going to be a good day. Anyways, he said, okay, your teacher sent me in the lesson plan. Today we're watching a movie, and I got a download link for it, so just give me a second. So, Mr. Steven, right? Mr. Steven, he goes on his computer, he downloads the movie. All the people are kind of talking with each other because, he's just downloading the movie, so it's kind of a free period for people to talk. People are like, all right, like movie time, baby, let's go. So I don't know about you, but whenever class was a movie class, it was always a good day. It was legitimately always a good day when that was the case. So everyone was pretty hyped, everyone was pretty excited, and eventually Mr. Steven, he actually gets the movie to download. He figures out how to use technology. But the thing is, right, Mr. Steven wasn't totally sure how to, use the AirPlay feature. He wasn't totally sure how to link up his computer with, the screen share type thing. So, he's like, okay, he's fiddling around with it for a little bit, and it's not working. So he says, hey, does anyone know how to use, anyone know how to, screen share or use the AirPlay or whatever? I don't even know. Somehow get his computer to, play on, the screen so that everyone could watch it. And this kid raised his hand. He said, hey, I can help you. And this kid, we'll call him Benny. Benny was kind of known as a Bitcoin miner. That was kind of his thing. Everyone knew him as the guy who mined Bitcoin.
Connor, the joke wasn't funny the first time. It definitely wasn't funny the second time. It isn't funny the 500th time you said the joke. Can you shut the fuck?
Oh my God. Okay, I get it. I'm not funny. Whatever. I have an obsession with Bitcoin mining for some reason, even though I'm much more of a fan of proof of stake blockchains like Tezos or... Anyways, right, so this kid was kind of known as, being a little bit... No, I don't want to call him a bully or... No, maybe he was a little bit, but he definitely had a very strong personality. This kid, Benny, right, he definitely would... He didn't really... How do I put this? He was a good kid, right? He was a decent guy, but he definitely was very, you'll see. He definitely had, he didn't really care when it came to other people's, feelings. I know that sounds harsh, but you'll know what I mean. Basically, what I'm trying to say is if Benny didn't really care. If something was funny and it negatively impacted someone, he didn't care because it was funny. He didn't care that it negatively impacted someone. If something was funny, he'd do it for comedy. No matter how bad it was on the other person. So anyways, right, so Benny, he goes up to Mr. Steven's computer. He kind of syncs it up with the AirPlay or the screenplay or whatever. I don't even know, man. And, he gets it to work. And, so, the screen, it pops on screen, and there's multiple tabs open. And this is where things start to go really downhill. This is where things start to fall off an absolute cliff. This is where everyone's day goes from, I'm watching a chill movie with my classmates to, oh my God. Right, so while the thing's screen sharing, while it's on the screen, right, if you don't know, of course you guys know, but on Google Chrome or Safari or whatever, when you have tabs open, there's a little bit of what you typed into the search bar or what was on, the website title. That is kind of present. You can see the first 50 or 70 characters of whatever you searched. And let me just say that was not good for poor Mr. Steven. And this is where things start to go downhill pretty quick. This is where things for Mr. Steven started to go really, really downhill. Because he had a lot of tabs open. And for some reason, he just thought that, he didn't need to close them. If he didn't click into the tabs, he didn't need to close them, right? And people were kind of they started to look at them because you're going to look at the tabs, right? You're going to look at what it says. You're going to glance at it. And people just started to see hottest Minecraft anime, and then it cut off. Sexiest Minecraft anime, and they're just what? Huh? And everyone's there's a little bit of a slight murmur because people are all reading this at the same time, and they're just wait a minute, what the fuck, what? You just preface this by saying, I literally don't care what you watch in your free time, right? If your thing is, a popcorn getting popped in a microwave, if that's really your thing, man, I don't care. I honestly do not care. But the thing is, if your substitute teacher is looking up, most delectable Minecraft animations, bro, that's weird. If that's something you look up on your own, I literally do not care. But if your substitute teacher comes into class, does not close his tabs, and that gets revealed to you, bro, I'm sorry. I'm literally so sorry. I'm so sorry. Someone's gonna say something. No one's gonna let that slip. And you know who definitely does not let that slip? You know who definitely does not? Benny. Benny's not going to let that slip. And because here's the thing, Benny's setting up the computer, he's setting up the AirPlay, and everyone else can see it on screen, right? It's pretty obvious. And yeah, Benny, out of all the kids, who's going to do something about it? Out of all the kids, yeah, Benny's going to be the one to do something. And unfortunately, he was the one, like, he was still manning the AirPlay because he was still getting it set up. It was like, and when Benny saw the tabs, he was like, yo, Mr. Steven, what's this? And he clicks on one of them, and it's just like a Steve. It's just like an animated Minecraft Steve. And it was like a very zoomed up photo of his face. And actually, on second thought, on a closer review, on a peer-reviewed study of research and data, I've come to the conclusions that I'm not going to meticulously depict the hottest Minecraft anime. I'm not going to meticulously depict the hottest Minecraft animations of 2021. Leave that to your vile imaginations. Anyways, right? So the whole class, because at this point, right, you have to remember, Benny has clicked into one of these tabs. And at this point, Mr. Steven, bro, he was new on the job. He was just a sub. He was coming in. All he wanted to do was, you know, get some credit hours or whatever. Because I think, like, a lot of, like, teachers, like, I think there's something about, like, getting hours as, like, a substitute that, like, that goes towards something. Maybe you get paid a little bit. He just wanted to come in, get his hours, get a little bit of bread, right? Get paid a little bit. Just, like, sit back, watch one of these movies about, you know, I don't know, 1960 Europe Reconstruction era, whatever. You know, I don't know, the United States going off the gold dollar, the gold standard. I don't know, man. Like, it was one of those history videos. He just wanted to sit back, watch that with the kids. Like, it doesn't even matter. He didn't want his search history and his, like, videos and the stuff he was watching the night before to be plastered all over the screen and potentially, you know, disrupt his career at least a little bit. Today's secret word is Minecraft. So if you made it this far into the video, I would like you to go in the comment section down below and comment Minecraft. I can't heart all of them. I've tried my best to heart a lot of them, but I just can't get to all of them. But if you want a good chance of getting a heart and maybe getting top commenter on the channel, comment Minecraft. I'll heart a bunch of those. This is a way to say thank you for the wonderful, wonderful watch time. And also a thing I started a couple of videos ago is, like, if you guys send me, you know, any kind of, like, fan art or cool kind of art like that to my Instagram, I'll try and put some of it, like, in some of my videos. Instagram is on screen right now. That's where you can send me the stuff, as well as send me the stories, which you guys have been doing and sending me a lot, and I do appreciate them. But yeah, I'm just going to show you some fan art on screen right now, as well as the Instagrams to the correlated accounts, so you can go say, like, that it's cool. Go send them some good messages or something. And today is your lucky day, because every single person who leaves a like on today's video will receive their very own nothing. I know, it's a wonderful deal. Back to the story. Anyways, right, so Mr. Steven regains control of his laptop, like, shuts it disconnects the AirPlay or whatever, right? And he's like, guys, I'm so sorry, like, you weren't supposed to see that. And, like, the kids in class, right, this is a high school class, like, this isn't some, like, middle school class where this would be a really serious issue. Like, it's bad in any case, but, like, the kids just thought it was pretty funny. And, like, the subscriber PJ was like, he kind of spoke up. He's like, dude, like, Mr. Steven, don't worry about it. We actually, like, I think, like, whatever, dude. Like, we don't care. We just found it was, like, funny that, like, I don't know. Like, it's like, we're sorry. Like, we're sorry that we're laughing at you, but, like, we really don't care. Don't worry about it. Mr. Steven's like, yeah, I'm just sorry again. He's like, also, guys, if you could just, like, not tell anyone about this. I know that sounds weird or whatever, but just, like, it honestly was a mistake, and it'll just get me in a lot of trouble. And, I mean, it seems like you guys don't really care, so it would just really help me out if, you know, you just didn't tell anyone. They were like, yeah, dude, like, don't worry about it. And, like, PJ's like, yeah, you're good, bro. Like, we get it. Like, it could kind of mess up your career or whatever, and it's honestly not a big deal, so it's totally chill. Let me just, and PJ offered himself, he's like, yeah, let me just get back up here. If you want to close those tabs for me, big guy, I'd appreciate that. But I'll get the movie set up, and we'll just sit here and watch it, and you're chill. And Mr. Steven was obviously a little bit shaken up. I think I'd be a little shaken up too. Thankfully, I would never be in that position for many reasons. But Mr. Steven seemed a little shaken up, and he was like, yeah, thanks, I'm just going to sit down. He was defeated, bro. He was done. So you might be thinking to yourself, like, okay, well, this is a decent end to the story. Why is there still, like, 3 to 4 minutes of runtime on the video? Like, they obviously, everyone in the class was like, they thought they'd be chill about it, and they're just gonna go ahead and watch a movie and definitely not get this like decent teacher in trouble who just like forgot to close his tabs, right? No one's gonna mess this up. No one's gonna make this unnecessarily awkward and unfortunate for no one's gonna do that, right? There's just 3 minutes of like extra blank space. Unfortunate to say, the story does not end here. You guys remember Benny, the kid who was called up to, to actually, the first one who, clicked on the tab and showed the whole class, basically. And as I said earlier, Benny basically would do anything for a laugh, for a good funny, like a good haha moment. And in Benny's mind, he was thinking to himself, you know what would be a super funny reaction? If I told the principal and the principal came in and like talked about it, like that would be hilarious. And Benny didn't really, because I said this earlier, right? He didn't really think of like ramifications or his actions having effects on other people. That whole thing, he wasn't really thinking about that. He just thought it would be super funny if he did this. So what Benny did is he was like, hey, Mr. Steven, can I go to the bathroom? And Mr. Steven's like, yeah, sure, it's fine. He was still a little shaken up, but he was kind of warming up to the class again. Things were good. The movie was playing, by the way. PJ got up there, successfully got the whole thing all set up. Things were looking pretty good, right? Things were just going smooth. The class was enjoying their movie. But what Benny did was he walked down the hallway and he walked right past the bathroom and he walked right to the principal's office. And what he did is he said, hey, Mr. Principal or whatever his name would be. Let's just call him Mr. Principal. I don't want to come up with another name. I'm gonna mix up the names if I have too many. So he's like, hey, Mr. Principal, right? Do I have a story for you? And let me just say that the principal did not find it as humorous as the class did. And the reaction was not as humorous as Benny expected it to be. Aha. So PJ's sitting in class. He's there with like a friend or two, and they're just chilling watching the movie when they hear a banging on the door. They hear bump, bump, bump. And then all of a sudden the door opens. And you know who walks in? Benny. And you know who walks in right after him? The principal. So Benny, he was a little, he didn't understand stuff like that. He really didn't like think ahead. But even, Benny was at least competent enough to realize that as he was standing there that, oh my God, he messed up at least a little bit. And the principal is like, Mr. Stevens, is what Benny told me that just happened, is that true? And the whole class is looking at Benny like, dude, why? Like, legitimate, why? We don't care. It was